B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. Shir Torah, we're glad to be back. Baruch Hashem. With sunny Isles, Florida. We're in Shaarei Tzion. Thank you very much for everybody for the all the prayers over the last week. It's definitely a nice adventure, and I really do appreciate all the prayers everybody prayed for us. Baruch Hashem, we're with Shlema, and Baruch Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu had mercy on us, and we're back. Today's shiur is also going to be the Shlema for Avi Mori, David ben Nesriya, Doris bat Jora, Levana bat Sarah, Esther bat Tzipora, Dvora bat Mercedes, Elisheva, Chaya bat Sarah, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf. Good. Yeah. Sounds on. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, it's a one of the amazing things the Chachamim tell us is that everything that a person does is going to be recorded in Shamayim. Everything is recorded in Shamayim. And Chachamim, when they read books, says something, that's it. It's enough. But the people that are always looking for a way out, try to rationalize things. Oh, how is this possible? How could this be? How is this? How is that? You know, the people that they call themselves skeptical. It's good to be skeptical, but only if you're the type of skeptical person that actually looks after the answer. Not if you're just a skeptical person who just likes to ask questions. We're not really looking for an answer. A lot of people like to ask big questions, but not really because they care about the answer. They just want to confuse everybody else, or to show everybody like they could come up with a big question. So people asked, how could it be that that everything is recorded? So when the radio originally was invented, some of the Chachamim started crying. Started crying. When the TV was invented, even more crying. Why? Now you would think, oh yeah, because so many sins are done to the radio, so many sins are done to the TV. Yeah, that too. But that's not the reason they were crying. They were crying because they realized something that the Gemara said, Torah Kedusha said many years ago, which is that everything that we're going to do is going to be recorded. And Kadosh Baruch Hu, in the generations before Mashiach, is going to give us all of the opportunities to do tshuva by showing us the emet in different ways, shapes, and sizes, according to the generation, according to the person. And Chachamim realized, that's what it looks like when you're recorded. Why? The guy is talking in Japan, but I can see him here in the United States, minutes, seconds later. The guy did something 25 years ago, but I could see it today because somebody recorded it. Somebody recorded it. And you can see this is in essence a visual, a physical visual of what it's going to look like in Shamayim when each and every one of us has our own personal judgment day after we complete our life, whenever it is, Be'ezrat Hashem, after we do tshuva or after 120, whichever one comes first. And the point is, Rabotai, is that the Chachamim saw, that's what it looks like to be recorded. That everything's going to be recorded. Why? Because you go up to Shamayim, they're going to show you a movie of yourself. Now, if you would have said, 500 years ago, they're going to show you a movie of yourself, you say, what's a movie? What does it mean, a movie? Now, I say movie, everybody here understands. Everybody here understands. Even people in third world countries know what a movie is, because they've seen it at some point, even if they don't own a television. And it's funny that sometimes it takes something bad to see what people think. And it was very interesting. Once in a while, I like to see what people think. They send me messages. They send the different letters, Baruch Hashem, in the mail, or they send emails and all types of text messages. And also people write comments on the internet. And one of the tzadikot, she publicized, please pray for Rabbi Yaron ben Doris for refuah shlema. And Baruch Hashem, a lot of people commented, refuah shlema, and all types of other things. But there's only, out of all of those refuah shlema, and Baruch Hashem, there were many, and I appreciate every single one of them, and I saw every one of them that at least Kadosh Baruch Hu allowed me to see. Out of all of the refuah shlema that I got from everybody, and some of them wrote Megillas, and they sent me letters, all types of things, Baruch Hashem. But there's only one that I remember like it's, mamash, this one is never ever going to leave. And I know in Shamayim it's also not going to leave. One woman decided that she's going to write her opinion. Everybody else writing the refuah shlema, but she decides she's going to write her opinion. She says, yeah, Rabbi Yaron Reuven eats too much shawarma, so that's why he got sick. And if he goes on a vegetarian diet, then he'll be better off. She decided I eat too much shawarma. First of all, I haven't eaten shawarma in maybe a year. But needless to say, like, why? Because I'm Mizrahi? Because I'm Sephardic? I eat too much shawarma? Is that why? Because what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? One guy, Tzaddik, wrote, how dare you write this? Tzaddik stood up for the truth. Like, how could you say such a thing? Everybody else, Baruch Hashem, ignored her. But I find it hysterical that people cannot, even at a moment like this, where, you see somebody's pretty much in the hospital, almost died on camera, but Baruch Hashem, she has to say her statement. Why? He eats too much shawarma. They have to express their hate. Why? What else is there to do? And I feel bad for her. I'm going to pray for her. I'm not upset at her. I feel bad for her. Why? Imagine being a person like this. You have to live with yourself with so much hate in your heart. Imagine you wake up in the morning and you hate. You're in the afternoon and you hate. You go to sleep and you hate. You're alive and you hate. You're always just hating. For what? No reason. He's Sfaradi, so he must eat too much shawarma. I mean, aside from the stupidity of the statement and just showing the level of intellect of this generation in general, it shows even more. It shows how much sinat chinam, that's practically 1 out of every 2 lectures, is simply alive and well, and it's absolutely not going away unless we each do tshuva seriously. Unless we each take ourselves by the hand and mamaz start doing something called Cheshbon Nefesh, self-accounting. Everyone likes to talk about their strengths, especially when they're meeting somebody important. You meet somebody that is a rabbi, automatically you can tell him, Rabbi, don't look at me like a regular person. How much like I give. That shul over there, down the street on 176, and now what? I built it. And by the way, that other kila, I'm not a member there anymore, but that other kila, do I have to say, I did it. That kila, I built it. I have to say, really, Rabbi. And by the way, Sefer Torah, Rabbi, I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say. I'm Evin Yavin. Whoever understands will understand. And by the way, Rabbi, I pray 3 times a day. But sometimes I also do Tikkun Chatzot. And Rabbi, Gemara, Masechet, I do that. And they like to give the accounting to the rabbi. Why? Because they want to impress the rabbi. The bigger the rabbi, the bigger the resume. You go to a job. Oh, hi, boss. Hey, what's going on? Within 30 seconds, you start telling them your achievement list. Oh, yeah, when I was 8 years old, I was the first in my class, and my teacher said I'm going to be something in my life, and I see today. And you start giving the guy a resume of all the things you ever did since you were in diapers. Oh, that trade last year that caused a big chaos in the market on CNBC? Do I have to say who did it? And everybody likes to give their resume. And kol hakavod, there are times that it's needed to say things that, if you need to get a job, people need to know. If you're someone that has the experience, you need to state it. If you're on a shidduch, the other person needs to know that you're a normal person, so they need to know a little bit of your background. There are times and places that it's necessary. But realistically speaking, between us, those are few and far in between. most of the time we all say our achievements and our accomplishments when it's completely unnecessary. Now, even if this is not something that we notice and acknowledge and even do on purpose, a little suggestion for all of us, myself included, is take the initiative of this month of Elul, the month of Tshuva, the month that is a countdown before Judgment Day. Whether you like it or not, Rosh Hashanah is not a celebratory holiday like people have made it into be, where you're supposed to start singing and dancing and feel free and everything is good. The Chachamim heard Rosh Hashanah is coming, Elul is here, they fainted. In the Kehilot, in just the previous generation, we're not even talking about 500 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, the Gabbai of the Beit Knesset would say, Rabotai, it's on Motzei Shabbat or the after Tfilat Arvit. It said, Rabotai, Elul is here, and bang on the table. Some of the tzaddikim will mamash faint from fear. Why? I only have 30 days to prepare for the case of my life. Mamash, my life. Why? That's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Gemara says, in Masechet Rosh Hashanah and a few other places, that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides, are you going to be living or dead? Are you going to make money or lose money? Are you going to be married or divorced? Are you going to be this or that? And believe it or not, it's not only if you're Jewish. It's actually if you're simply alive. Jew or non-Jew. Judgment Day on Rosh Hashanah is for all of mankind. And a person understands that this is a time for us to do tshuva. If not before, then at least now. And one of the prerequisites to do tshuva is to take the preparation period seriously. If you had a very big case, a capital punishment chas v'shalom case, somebody is accusing another person of murder, and whether they're innocent or not, they still have to fight for their life. Now, if they just show up to the court case that's going to decide whether the judge is going to give him a death penalty or not, they show up with shorts and a t-shirt, and they're still hungover from last night's party, what do you think their chances of winning that case are going to be? But if they show up, dress the part, look the part, but also, most importantly, mentally prepared. Why? They've been studying the case, they've been studying the evidence, they know what they're going to say before they say it, they know what the opposite side's case is also, what they're being accused of, how they can defend themselves against every accusation. They know more about the other side than the other side knows about themselves. They're prepared. That person has a much higher chance of succeeding. This, Rabotai Kareem, is what we are supposed to do right now, during the month of Elul. The slichot that we do every day for the Sfaradim during the month of Elul, and the Ashkenazim do it the last several days. It's not really just for you to get together and sing together and make some nice ancient songs, make you laugh, make you cry, make you this. It's really, if you listen to the lyrics of the songs, you're admitting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you know you're a sinner. Chatanu lefanecha. Chatanu lefanecha means, Hashem, we sinned in front of you. We're not denying it even. Lachem alenu. Have mercy on us. We know we sinned, but have mercy on us. We know we sinned, but have mercy on us. We know, we're not denying it. We're not coming to you and saying we did. We know you did. We know you wrote it in the book. You recorded it in a video. We know. But please have mercy on us. Give us another chance. This year we'll do better. And this is a sign that we're going to do better, but we're already prepared for the case now. So one of the things that a person can do other than just sing is to prepare themselves mentally. And what I would say is, instead of focusing on what we traditionally all do, which is all of our achievements, all of the nice things that we've done in our life, all of the money we donated and all the classes we attended and all of the learning that we've done and so on and so forth, we should change it a little bit. Use this month as a month to take on a time to do something called Cheshbon Nefesh, which is a time where you're going to analyze not all of your achievements. That's good. But analyze all of your flaws. Analyze all the things you messed up on. And pick one 2, 3. Pick a few and say, you know what? I'm going to fix this. I say Lashon Hara, no more. Next time somebody says Lashon Hara to me about somebody, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I got to go somewhere. Where you got to go? Somewhere. Where is that somewhere? Wherever that where is, it's just away from this Lashon Hara. You want to say something about somebody else? Remember, Judgment Day is coming. Judgment Day is coming. Somebody asks you for tzedakah, don't have them beg you. Well, how much do you have? What are you looking for? To raise 10,000? How much do you get so far? What difference does it make how much you get so far? What difference does it make? You know that the Torah says that there were some leaders, rich people in Am Yisrael, that when they were collecting tzedakah for Am Yisrael, for the Mishkan, they waited till the end. Why? They figured, listen, let everybody else donate. Let everybody else donate, and whatever's missing, we'll fill. HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished all of them. Why? If you want to donate, to do mitzvah, donate. What difference does it make how much they raised? They're raising 10,000 and they're only missing 2,000. They're raising 10,000 and they're missing 9, or they're not missing it all. If you want to donate because this is a good cause, donate. When a person does Cheshbon Nefesh, he'll say, wait a minute, why did I ask the guy how much did he get? Why did I ask the guy where is he from? Why did I ask the guy this? What's the point of my question? When a person does Cheshbon Nefesh, he starts analyzing all of the different details of his own day. Each day he does it. Every day, you take a few minutes, you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it takes. Just analyze your day, but don't analyze all the wonderful things you did only. You could do that if you need to cheer yourself up and give yourself a pat on the back because you need it for some reason. Fine. But don't just do that. Cheshbon Nefesh means accounting of our own flaws, our own failures, but not to get ourselves to a state of depression. Rather, get ourselves to a point where we realize, you know what, I got to do something about this. You know, today I lost my mind on this guy. I got to do something about it. Next time I got to keep my cool. What am I going to do to keep my cool? So you start figuring, okay, so I lost my cool today. What am I going to do next time it happens? Because it's definitely going to happen again. Maybe not with this guy because he's probably going to run away from you, but somebody else is going to say the same thing to you. They got you to lose your mind. You already heard from the shiurim, not allowed to lose your mind. Not allowed to be angry. It's considered avodah zarah. So how do I prepare myself to not lose my mind next time? And you analyze and you figure out, where did I fail? What did I do? Today I prayed, and honestly, the prayer was so bad, I don't even know in Shamayim if they're even taking it, they throw it directly into the deleted box. Sometimes we pray and we're thinking about everything except the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Everything else in the world we thought about except the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We're saying the Kadosh Baruch Hu's name. But we're thinking about money, we're thinking about zivug, we're thinking about the kids, we're thinking about food, what am I going to eat for lunch? Oh, the food wasn't good, it's giving me a stomach ache. Everything but HaKadosh Baruch Hu we're thinking about sometimes in our prayers. So that's what you add to your Cheshbon Nefesh. That's what you add to your Cheshbon Nefesh. Say, you know what, prayer, what do I need to do in order to make prayer better next time? Don't say, oh, prayer was no good. Okay. Oh, I got angry today. Okay. Oh, I stole some money today. Okay. No, it's not okay. Musar is something that is not something that you're supposed to listen to like it's music and just say, oh, wow, that sounded, I like that idea. Wow, Chazaku Baruch. Wow, that was a good idea. I like how you said that. Wow, Chazaku Baruch. That's not learning Musar. That's listening. Learning Musar means you're going to take something that you've learned and that you've heard, and you're going to think about it, meditate over it, and figure out a strategy of how you could apply this to your life. You heard some good chidush, you heard some new insight, a 5-minute clip that we've made, a 10-minute clip, a 8-minute clip, a 3-hour shiur, you heard it, you got something out of it. Don't just say Chazaku Baruch. Say, how could I apply something from here, from this 3 hours? What can I take out of it and apply to my life now? Not tomorrow. Now. What can I do now with this? That's the point of Musar. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, I've been learning Musar already, I'm learning your shiurim already for 2-3 years. Baruch Hashem, you're learning for 2-3 years, but how come you still, nothing changed? How come nothing changed? Listening, okay, you listened for 2 years. Okay, listening, okay. If you're listening for 2 years, nothing changed, I don't know, it's not a surprise. But if you're learning for 2 years, it's impossible for you not to change. If you're learning for 4 months, it's impossible for you not to change. Why? Because learning means that you're applying what you have heard into your life. And that's the point of all of Torah. All of Torah. Now, there's a lot of different things that I have to say about some other things regarding to bitachon, but I don't want to take too long in case you guys have some questions. So after people run out of questions, Be'ezrat Hashem, I'll add a few nice chidushim that I learned in regards to bitachon, also a little bit of mystical stuff, things that are very interesting, but also very applicable to the times that we face ourselves today, in Elul and right before Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. But I'm hoping that you guys have some questions. Anybody have questions? Are you guys on strike still? No questions? Chavod. Okay, somebody can do me a big favor, please, and give him the microphone.
What's the halacha if you say shahakol for water? Like 5 minutes later, you have some apple juice, but when you said the bracha for the water, you weren't thinking about the apple juice.
So, when you say a bracha, in essence, what are you doing? You're thanking a Kadosh Baruch Hu for what you're about to benefit from. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot says, anyone that benefits out of anything in this world without blessing a Kadosh Baruch Hu, meaning without saying thank you to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, is considered a thief. A thief. Why a thief? You're stealing from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. He gave you water, and you didn't even say bracha. How can you benefit out of something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you without even saying thank you? What kind of manner? Where did you learn your manners? In a zoo? So, Am Yisrael, our sages, made a takana to make sure, made a halakha to make sure that you have a blessing before everything that you benefit from in the world. There are even blessings for things that you don't necessarily benefit from in a traditional way. Like, for example, water, you're benefiting because you're satiating yourself, you're thirsty. Food, you're benefiting from because, again, same thing, you are hungry. You go to the bathroom, you're saying a blessing because thank you that the body worked. If it doesn't work, then Hashem Yirachem. But Am Yisrael also has blessings even for things that you don't see as a traditional benefit. Such as, for example, when you see lightning or you hear thunder, you also have to have a blessing. When you see unusual people, certain people are unusual looking. Not unusual by your opinion, but unusual and just unusual. Somebody that's albino, for example, or if you see somebody like that, you have to say a blessing for such a person. If you see a leader, you see a king, you have to say a blessing. You see a chacham, see someone that's a gadol ador, comes to your knesset, comes to your location, he's next to you, you have to do a blessing. There are different blessings. There's a very good book called Birkot Eliyahu that gives the blessings and also explanations for all the different blessings, but it also has a very good way for food, and it has almost every food, every kosher food you would eat, it has a picture of it and a blessing next to it. So you don't have to think too much. Oh, checks, cereal checks. What is it? You go to the page, check, cereal over here. Carrots. There's a carrot, you go carrots, you see a picture of a carrot, it tells you the blessing, and so on and so forth. Every Jewish home should have this on their table. It's very good because there are some things that are not so obvious. Carrot, you know it's from the ground. But there are certain things that you don't know. For example, what's the blessing for a mushroom? Some people, unless they learned the halachot of blessings, they don't know a mushroom. And I say ground, but it's not true. The mushroom doesn't grow from the ground. It grows from the air. It doesn't grow from the ground. There's no roots. Mushroom doesn't have roots. So we say, bracha for the air? What are you going to say? It's shakol. A mushroom's blessing is shakol. Same thing with when it comes to, rice. Rice is an exception. Rice, instead of what we would think it would be shakol, it's actually a mezonot. It's a mezonot. So the point is that these little blessings you need to know, because these are the small little details of how to live a Jewish life. Now, what happens if a person makes a blessing, like you said, on, let's say he did on a drink, and a short while later something else comes up. Let's say he had a drink, and a short while later he has, I don't know, a piece of candy or something else that he wants to eat. That's also the same blessing. Can he piggyback off of the original blessing or no? The answer is, if he had the blessing in mind when he did the blessing, as I'm blessing the just this water, and all he thought about is the water, he cannot use that same blessing for anything else. Why? Because all he had in his mind is just this water. Just this water. So he cannot piggyback, even though it's the same blessing, he has to do another blessing on the other thing. But if he had in mind, I'm going to be in my office for the next hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be in my house for the next hour, 2 hours, 10 hours. I'm not going anywhere. And instead of doing a blessing every time I'm going to eat something, I'm just going to do from now on, I'm going to do shakol on this drink or on this whatever thing is, but include everything else that I'm going to eat or drink that's under that same blessing. Even if I don't know what it's going to be. As long as I'm under that same roof. So if I'm in the office or I'm in a house and I want to do a blessing, I know I'm going to be there for 5 hours. I say I'm going to do shakol blessing, but that's going to include everything else. Even if I don't know I'm going to eat it yet. But everything else that's going to include it, as long as I'm here, that's included. You could use that one blessing for all of the things that you're going to eat or drink. But if you leave the house, even if it's just to throw out the garbage, you have to start all over again. Because as soon as you leave the house, even if it's for a moment, your mind is no longer on that same original blessing. But if you have it in your mind, it's pretty much, as long as you're under that same roof, you could piggyback off of the original blessing. Same thing goes with the other blessings, whether it's mezonot and other things. But also remember, there's one major difference, is that there's also a bracha achronah. There's a last blessing also that you have to do under certain conditions. So for example, if you do birkat hamazon, you eat bread. You can't say, okay, I'm going to eat bread now, and you know what? I'm going to be home all day. I'm going to be in the office for the next 10 hours. So let me just not say birkat hamazon until I leave. Doesn't work that way. You have to say birkat hamazon up to 72 minutes after you complete eating. So if you want to carry that blessing for longer, for example, if you want to have a longer meal, you don't want to just eat now, finish, and then you want to continue munching on a few things. You have some company over, you want to talk divrei Torah, and you guys are going to be together for 3, 4, 5 hours. And you don't want to do birkat hamazon yet because you're going to continue eating stuff. So what you can do is that every so often eat something that's connected to the meal, some real food, whether it's a piece of bread or some piece of food, so that 72 minutes continues extending. Don't not eat for an hour and a half and then say, okay, I could just do the birkat hamazon now. Because the maximum is 72 minutes. Halakha in reality is that actually even if it goes beyond 72 minutes, you should still do it, but nonetheless, the Chachamim said you should not do it beyond that because 72 minutes is usually the longest amount of time that you've maintained this meal, the benefit from the meal, after you've completed it. Chavo, next question. Give him the mic if you don't mind.
What if you move away from the spot that you started eating bread at? Like, do you still say birkat hamazon even if you're away from the spot?
Moved away from the spot meaning you left the house, or you moved the spot to, you went to, let's say, I don't know, you went to the bathroom.
Left the house.
Oh, so the what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to actually, the Gemara actually has a maaseh, has a story maaseh, that what there's a debate between the Chachamim. Say somebody has to eat, but he forgot to do birkat hamazon, and he left. Should he come back? Or should he just stop what he's doing right there and then, wherever he is, stop on the road, get off the horse, do birkat hamazon, and then get back on the horse and leave? Or should he go back to where he ate? Should he go back to where he ate? Chachamim say he should go back to where he ate. Should go back to where you ate because that's where you ate. But if it's already too far, meaning it's let's say you already you ate, you forgot, something came up, whatever, you started driving, you're already an hour away. Obviously you can't go back. Why? Because if you go back, it's going to take you an hour. By the time you come back, it's already past 72 minutes. There's no point. So you stop what you're doing at that minute, at 60 minutes, wherever it is, half hour, whatever it is. You stop at that moment, you do birkat hamazon exactly where you are. But generally speaking, you're supposed to do the blessing where you ate. It doesn't necessarily need to be, let's say, for example, in the same exact chair. just within the same vicinity under the same roof. Like for example, if you sat here, if we have, let's say, a table all the way to the end of the room, and you sat over here in the beginning of the dinner, but then, along the way, you saw Michael in the back, and decided, I want to sit next to Michael. And you sat over there, but then somebody else sat over here. Don't go, Birkat Hamazon, okay, you get up over there. Don't go over here and tell the guy, get out of my chair, I got to do Birkat Hamazon. That's completely asur. Don't do that. Go, pray over there, wherever you are over there. You're still within the same vicinity. It's perfectly fine if you do the blessing as long as you're within the same vicinity. The issue as far as leaving place is only if you actually leave the location, meaning you leave the building, you go somewhere else. And in that case, if you're close enough, go back. If not, just stop wherever you are and do the Birkat Hamazon. But always remember that when you're doing blessings, you're supposed to have focus. So you can't just like walk around and or drive and do blessings. Like somebody asked me one time, can I do Amidah while I'm driving to work? Can I do Amidah while I'm driving to work? If you're on a bus or on a train, and you're not the driver, yes, no problem. You stand, you sit, you're full focus, no problem. But if you're the driver, absolutely not. Why? It's not possible for you to have thought of a Kadosh Baruch Hu being in front of you right this second while you're driving. It's not possible. So you have to stop, pray, and then go back on the road. Next question. Somebody behind you had a question, I think. Michael had a question. Yes?
I got a question about Maris Ayin or Marat Ayin.
Okay. Marit Ayin.
Where do we hold in regards to that today with things like almond milk? And is it more for the individual to not slip or for the people observing the individual? For example, if I'm buying meat for my dog at Publix, I have tzitzis on, I pick up a steak.
Okay.
People assume it's for me. It's my dog.
Okay.
Am I more concerned with what they think? Or is it more so that I keep an active solid boundary from me transgressing and saying?
Marit Ayin specifically is for them, for other people, what they see. So the Gemara says, if you're in last week's parasha, we learned that you're not allowed to eat specific animals, but also even the animals that you're allowed to eat, whether it's a cow or it's a deer or it's a lamb of some kind, whatever it is, even those animals, they have to be slaughtered in a specific way. And you're not allowed to eat their blood, drink their blood. Not allowed. They have to be salted in order for all of the blood to leave the body. You're not allowed to eat the blood. So then you're going to ask, wait a minute, hold on a second. When I eat a steak, or you buy a steak, you buy chicken from the butcher, there's blood over there. You see the blood over there. That's not blood. That's water with blood color. Because in essence, all of the blood already left. If there's still blood in it, then it's problematic. But generally speaking, the stuff that you see at the butcher shop and places like that doesn't have the blood anymore. Anyway, by the time you cook it, all of that stuff is gone. But as far as the animals that we're allowed to eat, we're not allowed to eat their blood. But when it comes to fish, a fish doesn't even have to be cooked. You could eat a fish raw, and you could even drink a fish's blood, because it doesn't have the same laws as the animal. So anything that's not slaughtered is not, you're allowed to eat it completely. Meaning that you can eat the blood, you can drink, you do whatever you want. Now, of course, I know that some of you Americans find this disgusting, but I would tell you that some of your ancestors from Russia and Poland found blood to be a fish, to be a delicatessen. They found it to be delicious. So, for each his own. Point is it allowed, not allowed? It's allowed. But the Gemara says, if you're going to make a drink from blood, let's say you can have a cup, and your cup is a piece of glass, and it's going to be a glass full of fish blood. Permitted fish. You're allowed to drink it. Even though you're allowed to drink this blood, make sure that the skeleton of the fish is next to the cup. Why? If somebody's going to walk by you, they're going to say, wait a minute, this rabbi is drinking, this Jew is drinking blood, it's not allowed. It's chilul Hashem, this, that. So don't let them think anything automatically. Already have that in mind that somebody is going to think that you ate too much shawarma and that's why you got sick. Someone's going to think, so don't eat shawarma. No, not that. Have the fish's skeleton next to the cup, so at the least you've done your ishtadlut, your effort to give them the benefit of the doubt that just in case, hey, look, it's a kosher blood, no problem. You don't like it, that's your problem. I like it, I'm going to drink it. That's it. So when it comes to Marit Ayin, specifically is because of other people thinking. So you have to constantly be thinking of what other people are thinking of you and where you are. So the Gemara says there are certain sins that Yom Kippur, perfectly fine, you do real tshuva, you cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem deletes the sin as if it never happened. There are certain sins, it's a little more difficult. You have to say sorry to somebody, you offended. Hashem is not going to erase the sin of you insulting another guy. You have to erase the sin by you going to say, I'm sorry. If you insulted him in front of 100 people, you have to say, I'm sorry to him in front of 100 people. If you insulted him one-on-one, you have to say, I'm sorry one-on-one, and so on and so forth. If you stole money, you have to return the money. Saying, I'm sorry is not going to help you. So there are certain sins that are easy to fix. There's certain sins that are a little more difficult to fix. But then there's a certain sin it's not possible to fix until we die, which is the sin of Chilul Hashem. Chilul Hashem. So the Gemara says, what is an example of Chilul Hashem, desecrating of Hashem's name? It says, if you go to the butcher shop, you're the rabbi, let's say, you go to the butcher shop, and because you're the rabbi, you have a position, you take meat. You take meat from the butcher without paying for it. Just like you have an understanding with the butcher that you'll pay him back. You have a cheshbon. You take the meat and you just take it. Yeah, and that's it. That's Chilul Hashem. Why? Because other people that are there at the butcher shop, they don't know you have a cheshbon, that you have an accounting with this butcher, you're going to pay him back, pay him not. What are they thinking? They're like, look at this sleazy rabbi taking advantage of the poor guy. Guy's working day and night to slaughter, give us kosher animals. This rabbi, because he's the one that's giving him kashrut, is taking stuff for free. I want to be a rabbi. Well, this thief, this guy. And they have all types of thoughts in their head that you just took some food for free. So what is that sin? That sin is Marit Ayin. Marit Ayin. Why? People saw him taking food, and it looked to them as if it was free. It's not free. He's going to pay it back. But they don't know that. Meaning that we have to be very, very careful of how we behave, not only for ourselves and our own accounting between Hashem that sees everything, but even more so to take into account that other people see us. Other people are watching us. If a person really took that into account, where they literally said, you know what, there's Big Brother. There's a big camera watching me at all times, just like in the casinos. There's 5 zillion cameras. There's more cameras than people. There's no way you can steal. Why? There's 500 cameras looking at you. You have to think about it. There are 500 people looking at you at all times. Yeah, but I can't see them. Yeah, but they can see you. So if you're going to do something, just think. Not just Hashem is watching you. That's enough. But for most people, it's not enough. Think there's 500 people watching you right now make this transaction that's illegal. 500 people watching you, go buy this thing. So you have to take that into account. But you also have to know the law. Where is it allowed to do certain things? Where is it not allowed to do certain things? So for example, if you are buying food for a dog, go buy dog food. Don't buy non-kosher meat. Why? Because the average person is not going to do that accounting for you. He's not going to do that accounting for you. Say, this, I'm gonna buy steak, but it's really not for me. It's for my dog. They're not gonna do that accounting for you. It's leaving too much in the open. So what can you do? You want to do it another way? Your dog he's not eating dog food. He has to eat a cow. He has to eat something. That's it. No problem. Want to feed him? Order it online. Have it arrive at your house. Don't go out of the way. Don't do it. Why? Because somebody's gonna look and say, you see Aaron, that nochel, that Rasha, that gives lectures, he's buying non-kosher food. You see that guy? See, he doesn't even eat kosher, this rabbi. I knew this guy's fake. I know. They're going to say all that stuff on you. Why do you need that problem? Why do you need that problem? Why? Because you have that problem in Shamayim. They go and say that guy's, hey, you said Lashon Hara about Yaron. Oh, I did? When? Yeah, but it looked like to me it was eating non-kosher food. In Shamayim they say, you know what, you're right, let's bring Yaron. Yaron, how come you did that? How come you allowed him to think this about you? Meaning you both go up to Shamayim. When it comes to Lashon Hara, the Chafetz Chaim says there's 3 parties. There's the person that said it, there's the person that listened, and there's the person that's being talked about. All three of them are guilty. Wait, okay, the person that said it is Rasha. We all understand. I don't have to explain that part. He says Lashon Hara about somebody. He's a Rasha. Everybody knows. Not nice. Person that is listening to him say Lashon Hara. We also can understand why you are enabling him. Why you're giving him a stage. That we can also understand. But why is the person that's being talked about also guilty? Poor guy didn't do anything, right? That's what we think. Wrong. Gemara says in Moed Katan, if somebody's talking about you doing something wrong, there must be a reason. Meaning, you did something wrong. Maybe you didn't do as much wrong as what they're saying about you. But they cannot be 100% fake. There has to be a little bit there. Meaning, you ate shawarma in the last year. Maybe you didn't eat a lot of shawarma, but you ate shawarma at least once or twice this year. You ate shawarma, that's why somebody says, you won't eat too much shawarma. How would?
That can go to any extent. I mean, then people would have to do nothing in fear of someone misperceiving what they're doing.
Not do nothing, just be careful.
I understand, but for example, the one you use about the shawarma, it's like, so are you supposed to never eat shawarma?
No, you're allowed to eat shawarma. The fact that they're using it in a negative way is their own stupidity. But you're allowed to eat shawarma. You're allowed to shop for your dog. You're allowed to do everything. Just make sure that you have done everything possible to do the kosher thing and to make it look kosher as well. That's it. You fulfilled your responsibility. If they're mistranslating what you did, there's no case against you. Why? You've done everything. You've done everything. You've done all of your ishtadlut to do everything kosher.
Then you wouldn't be guilty.
Therefore, in Shemaim they worry about it to make sure that a person like that, no one talks Lashon Hara about them. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu knows who deserves it and who doesn't. He's the one that designated. Meaning, if somebody's going to talk Lashon Hara about somebody, then Kadosh Baruch Hu has to allow it to happen. He's not just going to talk Lashon Hara about somebody without Kadosh Baruch Hu saying, oh, you know what? Yeah. Everything that happens in the world, Kadosh Baruch Hu has to allow it to happen. Where do we learn it from? David HaMelech. David HaMelech is Kodesh Kodeshim. He cried to Kadosh Baruch Hu almost 24 hours a day. 70 years straight. Mamash, unbelievable. David HaMelech, after what happened with Bathsheba that looked to people like a sin, but the Gemara Masechet Shabbat says anyone that says David HaMelech sinned is wrong. He didn't sin. But even though he didn't sin, the Gemara says he didn't sin, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says he didn't sin, David HaMelech says it looked like a sin. It looked like a sin. David HaMelech fasted for over 20 years. Over 20 years, day and night. Not like fasting, mamash, wouldn't eat until the night, break the fast, again the next day. Mamash, like fasted for 20 years. Why? Because it looked like a sin. It looked like a sin. He was begging HaKadosh Baruch Hu to forgive him for something that looked like a sin, even though it wasn't a sin. Now one day, David HaMelech is with his soldiers, and the head of the Sanhedrin, Shimi ben Gera, who was one of the supporters of Shaul HaMelech, the enemy of David HaMelech, even though Shaul was also a tzaddik. Shaul had some ruach shtut, some crazy thought in his mind that he thought that David HaMelech is trying to kill him. And he chased trying to kill David his whole life. So, Shimi ben Gera was head of the Sanhedrin, the head rabbi in the world, and he was one of the big supporters of Shaul HaMelech, and he sees David HaMelech and his soldiers, and he doesn't hold anything back. And the Gemara says, he says a klala nimretzet. What's a klala nimretzet? It's every curse word in the book. He curses David HaMelech, king of Am Yisrael. Melech Mashiach comes from David HaMelech. In front of everybody, every curse in the book. You're a bastard child. You're this, you're that. You're the worst person in the world. You're Rasha. Embarrasses in public. Because he believed himself that he was a Rasha. He was wrong. Now, the general of David HaMelech says, why should we let this kelev, this dog, speak about my highness like this? Let me chop off this dog's head. That's what it says in the pasuk. Let me chop off this dog's head. David HaMelech says, no, chas v'shalom. He didn't curse me. Hashem did. Hashem cursed me. What Hashem? Hashem didn't curse him. Shimi ben Gera cursed them. Yeah, everybody sees it. Everybody saw it. Everybody heard it. Everybody saw it. There's a movie about it. It's a pasuk in the Torah. It didn't say Hashem cursed David. It says Shimi ben Gera cursed David. David HaMelech understood the deeper meaning. He said, if Shimi ben Gera wanted to curse me, good. But it doesn't mean that Hashem will allow it to happen. Unless I deserve it. The fact that he wanted to curse me and he hates me, yeah, that's his choice. That's his free choice. But is he going to be able to exercise it to such an extent? That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu's choice. Based on my actions. If I deserve to be publicly embarrassed, for whatever reason, then I'll get it. The fact that he wanted to curse me, that's one thing. Whether he's going to be allowed to curse me, that's something completely different. That's depending on my free choice. So if he cursed me, that means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling me he's allowed to curse you. Which means you have to do tshuva for something, David. There's something here. And at that moment, Chachamim say, at that moment, David HaMelech passed the test of all tests. Even though he was Kodesh Kodeshim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to bring Mashiach from him, and even though he wrote the Sefer Tehillim, and even though he built the foundation of the Beit HaMikdash, and his son Shlomo built the Beit HaMikdash, and all of these wonderful things, he was mamash an Eved Hashem. Only at that moment, after he passed the test where he understood the deeper meaning of how Hashem runs the world, did Hashem decide to make him the fourth person, the fourth soul, to carry the Merkava. There's Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and David. Why? Because David understood nothing bad in the world happens to anybody unless HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides it based on your actions. So if you have done everything possible to make sure that your actions are kosher, you'll know it. Why? Your world around you will change. Your world around you will change. If it hasn't changed, that means there's still something stinky in your actions. There's still some rotten fish somewhere, and you have to find it. Sometimes it's a test. More times than not, it's a combination of a test and a sticky fish. So you have to find a sticky fish. Next, yes?
Hashem has decreed that I am warranted to have this Lashon Hara spoken about me. So then, in fact, I do tshuva, which is this. The fact the Lashon Hara spoken about me is actually for my benefit.
Yes.
So what is the person speaking it guilty of?
He's still guilty of speaking Lashon Hara.
But if it's something that people are publicly aware of more than 3 people, it might be unpleasant for me to know that people know it about me.
Right.
But it's commonly known knowledge, so it's a fact, is it?
If it's commonly known knowledge, then it's not even Lashon Hara in the first place. If, let's say, for example, you went on public television and you decided that you're going to support, Dick Cheney, okay? I don't know, you're going to support, I don't know the politician, so I don't follow this stuff. But you're going to support some guy that murders millions of people quietly, okay? And somebody says, oh, you hear Michael? What? He's supporting Dick Cheney. The guy that shot George Bush or George Bush's buddy in the face, and the guy said sorry. He shot him in the face. You heard that? That's not Lashon Hara. Well, you went on TV. Everybody knows. If you showed up to a wedding with a miniskirt, showed up to a wedding to a miniskirt, and people say, "Oh, you hear what happened? She showed up to the wedding with a miniskirt." That's not Lashon Hara. Well, you made it public yourself. But if it's something that's not massively, it's not known by everybody, that's a different story. But generally speaking, even if you have a benefit that you've acknowledged that somebody spoke Lashon Hara about you, and therefore you need to do tshuva, and you've done tshuva, they still get punished. You don't, but they do. Why? Because they still had the free choice of whether to actually do what they did or not. Where do we learn this from? What's the source from it? The Egyptians in Mitzrayim. The Egyptians in Mitzrayim. So, Chachamim ask, how come HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished the Egyptians in Mitzrayim? How come he punished Paro? How come he punished everybody? Killed Paro's son, killed all these people's sons, made them drink blood. Why? In essence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu already told Avraham Avinu this is going to happen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu already told Avraham Avinu this is going to happen. All Am Yisrael had to do certain things. Good things came out of it. Why did they get punished? They were supposed to be slaves, right? The reason why, Rabotai, is that even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided that Am Yisrael is going to be slaves for a while before they get the Torah, in order to soften them, He never decreed for the Egyptians to kill us and to kill babies. And he never gave them the permission to do that. He gave them the permission to be the masters of the Jews and be the ones that enslave us. He didn't give them the permission to kill us. Meaning, they took it a step further. They took it a step further. For that, they got punished. Not for the enslavement. For the enslavement, they got permission. But the fact that they took it a step further, that's what they got punished for. What is that like? If somebody, let's say, for example, you work for someone, and there's some companies, they have something called petty cash. It's like a little box in the office, and they put a bunch of cash in it, that anybody needs this cash for different things that are office-related, company-related. You could take some money out of there, and every so often the manager counts the money, okay, what's missing, what's not, and so on and so forth. One day, the manager finds out, okay, there's a misuse of the petty cash. We're missing $5,000. He starts doing accounting. He starts seeing people are overspending. Instead of buying one pen, they're buying 500 pens. Instead of buying one stapler, they're buying 5. Everybody's guilty. But he only punishes one guy. Why does he only punish one guy? Because that one guy, he didn't buy the pens. He bought himself a bicycle to go home with. He bought himself a nice watch. So everybody overspent the company funds. They're all guilty. But he's the most guilty. Why? He didn't even use it for company reasons. He used it for personal reasons. He took it a step further. Same concept. Same concept. The Egyptians took it a step further. Chavo, next question.
So I have two questions, actually. The first one I have is, what if somebody doesn't speak Lashon Hara about you, but what if they say slander? Say something that's an outright lie. You obviously don't get punished. You obviously don't get punished for that, right? Like you said with Lashon Hara.
No, that's called rechilut in Sfat HaKodesh. Rechilut, they're saying slander on you. That's actually even worse than Lashon Hara. But again, the Gemara says that if somebody says slander on you, it cannot be 100% fake. There has to be a little bit of truth in it. There has to be a little bit of truth in it, which means that if somebody's saying something bad about you, there has to be something in it. Something in it that's true. Not necessarily the whole thing, but you are still guilty of something. Of course, if a person does tshuva every day, does Cheshbon Nefesh every day, little by little, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to uncover different sins that he's made throughout his life that he forgot. And one of the sgulot, this is really higher level tshuva for people that want to take things the next step. For now, everybody just take this just for learning purposes. Don't take this as something to do every day. But if you're at a higher level, there is a sgula. There is a thing that you can do in order to remember forgotten sins. In reality, all of us have plenty of memorable sins. Work on those first. Work on those first. But in case you're such a tzaddik that you've worked on all of the main sins you remember, but you know you still have to do tshuva. Why? Because you're still alive. You're still alive, you have to do tshuva. So, but you forgot, you don't know what you did, you didn't do. So there is a sgula. What's a sgula? You learn all night. You learn all throughout the night. Serious Torah, serious Gemara. If you're already at that level, you're definitely serious in Gemara. You're not just learning Sipuret Tzadikim anymore. You learn the whole night serious Gemara. And don't go to sleep. Continue all the way till prayer. All the way till prayer, and pray. Chamim say, during prayer, Hashem is going to put a memory in your head of something that you forgot about. It works. Next question.
Okay, so I also learned that you said this already, but I learned that that if you see lightning or hear thunder, you have to say a blessing right away.
Okay.
What if you don't have the prayers memorized, the blessings memorized, and you have to look in the Siddur, and you see lightning or you hear thunder and you don't say it right away?
If the Siddur is right next to you, then perfect. There's no problem. There's no special obligation to remember all the prayers by heart. The Siddur is right next to you. Then perfect. Open the Siddur, say the prayer. Perfect. It's within moments. But if the Siddur is nowhere near you, and you're not going to be able to prayer, then that's already something to do tshuva for. That's something you take down a little reminder. As soon as I get home, I'm going to apply to memory. I'm going to learn this bracha and apply it to my memory. Read it 100 times. By 101 times, you're going to remember it forever. In the back, they have a question. If you can give them in the back.
So what if you're eating a meal and like during your while you're eating you forget to say the bracha and you realize like you forgot you're allowed to say it when you're done eating?
Okay, so you ate already? You finished eating? So let's say you you had a sandwich, and you forgot to do netilat yadayim. You forgot to do the blessing on the bread. You ate the sandwich.
And then you realize you forgot to do it.
You forgot to do the original blessing.
You forgot to do the
But you already finished the food.
You forgot to do it.
You ate the food. You finished the food already. No, if you already finished the food, it's not. There's no blessing anymore because the blessing has to be on something. If you're still in the middle of eating the sandwich, you stop eating and you go. You do an tefillah, you eat. Next thing you do a mutzi, you eat at that point. But if you already completed, there's nothing to bless about. But you still have to do birkat hamazon. Even though you missed the first blessing, doesn't mean that it doesn't affect the last blessing. You still have to do birkat hamazon. You still have to do the last blessing anyway. But the first blessing you missed out on. Next question. You have somebody? It's you. Try to. Yeah.
We learned that nothing happened, by coincidence, or Hashem rules everything.
Okay.
So, and regarding the story about the Hebrews, although Hashem did not, was on the plan to have, the Egyptians that just killed them.
Okay.
But the fact that it happened, and we know Hashem does not let anything happen.
Why did Hashem enslave us before we even made any sins?
So
That's the question.
technically, since it happened, the babies got killed.
Okay.
Are they innocent? And we know nobody. Hashem rules the world.
Very good question. Very good question.
What?
So there's two questions here. One, why do we become slaves? I'm asking the question. Just adding to this question. Why do we become slaves before we even did anything? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu already decided to tell Avraham Avinu, your descendants are going to be slaves. They're not even alive yet. Why, are you going to decide that they're going to make sins, they're going to make them slaves? Why did they make them slaves? They didn't do any sins yet. They weren't alive yet. They weren't born yet. Second question is, what about all those cute little babies? Those cute little babies, what sin did they make? Why did Kadosh Baruch Hu allow these evil Egyptians to take these babies, these Jewish babies, Israelite babies, and every time their parents, their father did not meet their quota in making stones to put into the pyramids, into the Egyptian structures, then the punishment would be that they would take his kid and put it in there instead of the stone. It would crush the baby. So what did the baby do to get crushed? He said Lashon Hara. He doesn't know how to speak. What did he steal? He doesn't even know how to use his hands yet. What did he do? It's two questions. It's a very, very serious question. So the Gemara in Masechet Chagiga says there were certain things that were created before the world. One of them is the Torah itself. Torah was created before anything. It was created 974 generations before the world came into being, before the world was created. The Torah was created, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took black fire and used it to write on white fire and wrote the original Torah scroll. Now, Chachamim ask, what does it mean 974 generations? Is it mamash 974 generations, like an actual time, like Hashem just created the Torah and just waited there, did nothing for several thousand years, and then decided to create the world? Why didn't he just write the Torah and a second later create the world? Like what's the whole 974 generations part? Why does Hashem have to wait? So in reality, he didn't wait a second. There's no 974 generations actually passing. What happened? Gemara says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that the Creator knows His creation, and He knew that the world will not be able to sustain itself without the Torah coming within a certain amount of time. Because the evil of people simply would be too much without the Torah. So he knew that there was going to be a lot of evil people. So he took all of the evil people that would exist, all of the really, really evil people that would exist without the Torah, for the first 974 generations of the world, had it been created without the Torah yet, he took them and he spread them out into each and every generation. Because had he put them all in one, he would have simply destroyed the whole world. Not even with like Noah. He would have simply destroyed everything. So there's no point. But they had to exist. So he took those generations, those evil people, and he spread a little bit of them in every single generation. So on one hand, those evil people, they answer the question of why were the babies killed. The babies were evil neshamot. They were part of those people that were supposed to be created that were evil. Where do we learn that from? We learn it from a story between Moshe Rabbeinu and a little boy named Micha. Moshe Rabbeinu saw all of these little babies being killed, and he said to Hashem, let me save one. He didn't know the whole story. He didn't know they're evil, they're not, they're this. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says, no, don't save him. It's an evil neshama. Because but he's a baby. What evil? What did he do? Let me just save one. They're killing millions. Let me save one. Hashem says you have free choice. You can save whatever you want. So Moshe Rabbeinu saved the baby. And he named the baby Micha. Micha, after, as if lim'och. That comes from the root of the word lim'och, which means to crush. Had he not saved them, this baby would have been crushed by the stones. He literally took them out of the stones. And he saved this kid, and the kid followed Moshe Rabbeinu around. Now, I told you the story some time ago that one day, after the whole Makot happened, the 10 plagues happened, Hashem said to Am Yisrael, it's time to leave. Am Yisrael started leaving, but Moshe Rabbeinu had to deliver on the promise of taking the grave, the tomb of Yosef HaTzadik out of Egypt, but he didn't know where he was. So he went to a woman that was alive at the time named Serach bat Asher. Serach, the daughter of Asher, the original Asher, the son of Yaakov. And since she was the only one that was alive at the time, because she got a blessing from Yaakov Avinu to live forever, she knew where the tomb of Yosef HaTzadik was, her uncle. And she told him that tomb is actually hidden inside the Nile River. So Moshe Rabbeinu went to the Nile River, and he had to take the tomb out. But he didn't have forklifts. So what did he have? He had Hashem. So what did he do? He knew the real name of Hashem. It's called Shema Mefurash. And he inscribed the name of Hashem on a piece of metal called the mateh. And on the other side, he inscribed the words Aleh Shor Aleh. Rise, bull, rise. And the reason why is because each one of the tribes, Yehuda, Yosef, and so on and so forth, each one of the tribes has a sign, has a symbol. Yehuda is a lion, Yosef is a bull. So he wrote on the mateh, on this piece of metal, one side was the name of Hashem, the real name of Hashem that you could do all types of mystical things with. And the other side, he wrote, rise, bull, rise, meaning, Yosef, get yourself out of the water. And before he threw it, he says, Yosef, I'm here to deliver on the promise that my grandfather made, the Levi tribe made, which is to take your tomb with us when we leave. 100 years have passed, it's time to leave, we're leaving. But if you don't get yourself out of this water, you're staying here. He threw the mateh inside the water, and the tomb of Yosef miraculously came out of the water, and Moshe Rabbeinu took the tomb and carried it himself. For that's the reason, by the way, the Gemara says, since he delivered on the promise and carried the tomb of Yosef himself while the rest of the nation were collecting gold from the Egyptians, Hashem says, I'm going to return the favor measure for measure by burying Moshe Rabbeinu myself. He worried about delivering on the promise by taking the tomb of Yosef. I'm going to do him a favor back. So now, this all is happening, this whole story is happening, and the boy Micha is watching from behind the scenes. He's hiding in the bushes, and he's watching all this happen. Moshe doesn't know that he's there. He's focused on the action. He took it, he left, and the boy Micha jumps into the water and takes the mateh out. He takes the piece of metal out that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't think, he threw it in the water, it's gone. The boy took it out and hid it. because he was an evil neshama, evil neshamot, what do? They do evil things. So what happened? You fast forward. Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Mount Sinai with Am Yisrael. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him the 10 commandments, and he says, Moshe Rabbeinu, come up to the mountain, I'll teach you the Torah, and then you bring it to Am Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu goes to Mount Sinai, 40 days, 40 nights. Am Yisrael makes a mistake, miscalculating the time that Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to come down by 6 hours. And because of that, they think that Moshe Rabbeinu died, and they tell Aaron to build them a middleman, a new middleman. It's going to connect him to Hashem. First they go to her. Her says no, they kill her. They come to Aaron HaKohen, they say, you build us something. Aaron knows that if he doesn't do it, they're going to kill him, and then they're not going to have a Kohen to purify the whole nation. So he says, okay, fine, I'll build you something. He's thinking to himself, let me just buy some time. So what's the thing that's hard for people to give usually? People like to give everything except one thing. What do they don't like to give? Money. So he said, give me all your money. What money? Give me all your gold. Everybody give me all your gold, I'll make you a statue. He thought it's going to take a while for them to give the statue, but they had a big yetzara. All of a sudden he sees people ripping out their earrings, ripping out everything, throwing the gold at him. Already amassed a huge amount of gold in seconds. Only the women didn't give their gold. Only the men gave. But then he figured, okay, whatever. I thought it's going to take me a few days to get this gold from people, and then by then already Moshe Rabbeinu will come back. But even though it doesn't matter, I'll take all this gold and throw it in the fire. It takes hours and hours and hours for the gold to melt. It has to reach a few thousand degrees. Either way, by then Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be back. So he threw all the gold into the fire, thinking that, okay, it doesn't make a difference. It's going to take a while. I buy myself more time. Everybody threw their gold into the fire, threw their gold into the fire. But then we have Micha. Micha, the evil neshama, he doesn't have gold. What does he have? The mateh. He throws the mateh inside the fire. What does the mateh say? Rise, bull, rise. What does Aaron say to Moshe Rabbeinu when Moshe Rabbeinu comes down? He says to him, why do you hate these people so much that you build them a statue? Aaron says, I didn't build him a statue. The statue came out. What does it mean a statue came out? Because of this special mateh that had the holy name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu on one side and the verse saying Aleh Sho Aleh on the other side, guess what? The gold was there, the mateh was there, and magically, miraculously, a bull came out, created literally by the gold. The gold turned into the bull, and the bull came out talking, saying, I am God that took you out of Egypt. The actual bull actually talked. So that's why everybody worshipped it. So that explains when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says there's an evil neshama, it's supposed to be killed as a baby, you saved it, mistake. You're going to see the mistake later on. How much later on? At the time of Mount Sinai. So that explains the issues with the evil neshama with the babies. In regards to a shorter answer, why HaKadosh Baruch Hu enslaved Am Yisrael in Egypt before we even sinned, is because Am Yisrael is a very, very unique neshama. The highest level neshama in creation is the neshama of the Jew. But because Am Yisrael was so much more powerful, smarter than everyone else, they also were much more arrogant. And they were unbearable for the rest of creation. Anyone that wants to see a little insight of how much superior we were in comparison to the rest of the nation, just go to Midrash Me'am Loez in the third book. At the end it says Milchamot Ashvatim, the wars of the 12 tribes. And it talks about the wars of literally the 12 sons of Yaakov against all the nations. 12 people against all the nations, they killed everybody. Because they literally had superhuman powers. Because they were so powerful, so smart, so everything, they saw they're better than everybody else. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to ground us. How do you ground somebody? Giving him difficulty. So in order to make us a vessel to receive the Torah, humble to receive the Torah, he had to ground us by having us go through major difficulty. So that's why the slavery happened, at least one of the reasons. Chavod in the back, there's a question. If you could give him the mic, it'd be good. Why do women have miscarriages?
Yeah.
The Arizal writes in Sharei Gilgulim that everything that happens to a person in the world, every sin that he has is an indication of something that he did himself. Meaning, the Gemara says in Masechet Chulin, I think it is, that there's not a finger pricked in this world where little rose is going to prick your finger and generate some blood without you being guilty of something. So the Arizal extrapolates it and says that, what does it mean? If you sinned with your finger, you'll be injured in your finger. If you sinned with your eyes, you'll be injured with your eyes. Whatever you sinned with, that's how you're going to get punished. Midah v'neged midah, measure for measure. So, if somebody is either during their current life or even in their previous life, their previous carnation, sinned with either wasting seed, promiscuity, abortion, these are small different reasons of why Kadosh Baruch Hu will give them the punishment. For example, a woman had an abortion because she was 16, 17, 18 years old and promiscuous, but then she didn't want to have a baby, but she got pregnant. So she had an abortion, she committed murder, and then later on in her life, she got to 26, 28, 30, 35, she wanted to have a kid because now she's married. So what's the punishment? Hashem says, okay, when you got pregnant originally, you didn't want to have the baby, and you killed the baby. So now the punishment is that I'm going to kill the baby that you do want. Sometimes it's during the life that you're living right now. Sometimes it's even in a previous life. But the point being is that a person does not get punished for no reason. Why does the baby inside, what does he deserve? How come he deserves it? It's 100% murder. The baby's alive. It's not a dead baby. It's not a piece of meat like people think. If you look at the videos that show abortion, you see the baby is 100% alive and well. After 40 days, he has a heartbeat, he has brain waves, he's alive and well. He's just little. 40 days, alive 100%. 2 months, 3 months, he's got fingers, he's got everything. You kill a baby 2, 3, 4, 5 months old, inside the stomach, just because it's inside the stomach, it's 100% murder according to the Torah. So how come the baby deserves it? One simple logical reason is that baby used to be a murderer. What kind of murderer? He had an abortion. He killed a baby. He got some girl pregnant. Or he was the girl that was pregnant. And he had an abortion in a previous life. And he killed a baby. So Hashem says, oh, you killed a baby. I'll kill you. How? The same way you killed a baby. You got the baby crushed and the head was crushed with this plier and torn apart from the body in little pieces, and they cut the legs and they cut the arms and they cut the fingers and everything else. You did it. You didn't care. Why? Because you can't see the baby. Therefore, you think it's not really happening. Well, Kadosh Baruch Hu says you'll see it's happening. How? It's going to happen to you. So for anyone who has made the mistake unknowingly of having an abortion, Baruch Hashem, there's hope for you. What's the hope? You can do tshuva for it and not have to come back as a gilgul, as an abortion. What's the tshuva? First and foremost, like anything else, realize you've made a very big sin. Learn about it, like what we just talked about, and cry over it. Cry over the murder that you've committed. Second, commit that you're never going to do it again. Never going to do it again. Doesn't matter if you're ready, not ready. Never going to waste heat again. Never going to have an abortion again. Never, no matter what. Third, pass this on to as many people as possible in order to stop them from making the same sin, or at least getting them to do tshuva after they've made the sin unknowingly. Share the information to help other people do tshuva. If you do all of those things, you will merit to do full tshuva, and you will not have to suffer what I just explained. Chavod.
I heard a different answer that the baby was such a tzaddik that he all he needed was for the people to pray for him a little bit more and come back, and then he could die.
That's only if he's alive. But you said it's a miscarriage. Miscarriage didn't come to the world.
Oh.
If somebody's alive, that could be one of the explanations. Somebody's alive, but they only have to correct something that's, let's say, being born 30 days in this life, or 2 years in this life, or 5 years in their life, that could be a very, very good answer for such a thing. But you didn't say that. You said somebody that already died in the stomach. Somebody that already died in the stomach, nobody prayed for nothing. Nobody knows him. Nobody saw him. Except the doctor that killed him in Machshimo. Next. Everybody solved everything else. Can I go in the crowd? Ask you guys questions?
I got a question for you. When Jacob wrestled the man, the angel of the Lord,
Good.
what was sitting in the vessels on the shore of the river?
What was sitting inside those things that he took?
Yeah, the clay pot.
Wait, was inside them?
What's inside?
What's inside those vessels?
What was inside? What was the significance of the vessels?
Significance of the vessels, they meant significance as far as different mystical things for Yaakov Avinu. As far as specifically what's inside them, you got $50. I don't know. If there's an answer. I have to double check if there's an answer. If there's an answer, I'll give it to you. But if there's no answer and there's no, it's not written any midrash, then it's a enough kamina.
Give us like a mystical significance to the jar.
Mystical significance for sure. But as far as specifically what's in it, flowers or incense and what kind of incense and the details and all that stuff, that I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know if there is an answer. I'm sure that it's possible that there's an answer, and I'll have to double check.
On the same question, if it was Esau's angel that blessed Jacob, isn't that kind of contradictory? I mean, can you elucidate that a little bit?
The fact that there's an angel that does things that are not good doesn't make the angel not good. The angel was an obstacle in the journey of Yaakov Avinu in order to enable him to get to a next level. Similar to how we have a Yetzirah. The Yetzirah is not a angel that simply wants us to fail. The Yetzirah actually wants us to succeed. We learn this from the times in the Gemara where the Yetzirah was actually good friends with some of the tzaddikim. He loved them. He loved the tzaddikim. Because they were tzaddikim, he saw them as equivalent to him, where they're servants of Hashem. He's a servant of Hashem. So even though he's the obstacle that's trying to make them fail, that's his job. That's his function in the world. It's not as a goal in life like he wants it. It's his job. It's his function. Like a bus driver drives a bus, the Yetzirah is an obstacle in your journey. But to see also another example that the angel has a mission, but it doesn't necessarily mean that mission is their belief, if you will, is we know that the Yetzirah, when he saw the significance of Moshe Rabbeinu and how holy Moshe Rabbeinu was, the Yetzirah gave Moshe Rabbeinu a present. And that present is what we repeat in prayer. The Sfaradim repeat it every day. I think the Ashkenazim, maybe on Shabbat, I'm not 100% familiar with the Ashkenazi prayer, but the Sfaradim do it, and that's the Ktoret. The secret of the Ktoret. The secret of the Ktoret is what the Yetzirah taught, one of the things the Yetzirah taught Moshe Rabbeinu, which in essence is one of the things that can bring mercy to Am Yisrael even after they've made the worst sins. So that's one of the gifts that the Yetzirah gave to Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because he liked him. He didn't hate him, but he still had a function. So who does the Yetzirah hate? He hates people that are ungrateful to his master. Who's the master? Kadosh Baruch Hu. Who's ungrateful? Somebody that sins. Why? Because Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving you money and you waste it on nonsense. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you legs and you go to places that you shouldn't go. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you a mouth, instead of saying divrei Torah, you say divrei kfirah, and so on and so forth. So Yetzirah, even though part of his job is to give you that obstacle, it's not because he wants you to fail. It's because that's his function. If you fail, he also has a function of hitting you. If you succeed, he'll definitely give you a high five when you leave this world. Next question.
So with that being the case, and how come in the Gemara it says the Yitzhahara gets slaughtered or killed at the Day of Judgment?
Very good question. The Yetzirah, his function is going to be slaughtered. Not that he's going to be killed, meaning he's going to not exist where Hashem is going to punish him. Hashem is not going to punish the Yetzer Hara for doing his job. Hashem, in essence, the Zohar Kadosh says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made everything with, in essence, a equivalent, if you will, or an opposite. There's a light, darkness, there's tall, short, fat, skinny, stupid, smart, and so on and so forth. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, since he's the source of all good, he had to make a opposite. He made the Yetzer Hara, and since HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a throne of glory for himself, he made a throne of glory, mamash, a throne of glory for the Satan himself. So Satan actually sits on a throne of glory, and he only gets up for specific types of people, specific types of things. Most of the things that happen in the world are usually the messengers of the Satan, not the Satan himself. He has employees because he's a king also. He's obviously an employee of Hashem, but nonetheless he's still a king. The king has kings under him. And the king, the Malach HaMavet, has employees, many employees, and every time a person sins, he creates more employees for the Satan. He's a factory of employees for the Satan. Now, the Satan, at some point after the Mashiach comes, it's not immediate, because immediately after the Mashiach comes, there's going to be a war. There's going to be a war, there's going to be a time, it's not right away. But after all of that balagan happens, the war, the burial of the burial of the dead, and so on and so forth, then the Satan, the Gemara says, will be slaughtered. What does it mean the Satan will be slaughtered? Meaning that his job, his function as the Yetzer Hara, and as the Malach HaMavet, and as the Satan, that job function is slaughtered, is cut off from the world. And he'll become an angel without that function anymore. Without that function. Similar to other angels like Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael, and all of the other angels have different job functions. The Malach HaMavet will have a different job function. He will no longer have, there will no longer be a purpose for him to get people to sin. He will no longer be telling on people that sin, because no one's going to be sinning anymore. And there's not going to be any more death. No one's going to die anymore. So he's not going to have those job functions anymore. So Hashem is going to slaughter, meaning cut off from the world, this job function. That's what the slaughter actually means.
So since all the sinners and whatnot have been removed, is it because there's no one still there to scapegoat that his role will be thus dissolved?
Well, there's going to be three things. One, the inclination to sin will be removed, meaning even the tzaddik that doesn't sin has an inclination to sin. Even though he doesn't sin as often as the Rasha, he still has just as many, if not more, inclinations and desire to sin as the Rasha. The difference between the tzaddik and the Rasha is that he doesn't sin as often. And when he does sin, he does tshuva right away. That's the difference. A tzaddik is not someone who doesn't have Yetzer Hara. He has Yetzer Hara. He just doesn't sin as often. He doesn't fall for it. Once the Mashiach comes and that process gets to that point, that inclination to sin will be removed from people. They will no longer have the inclination to sin anymore. They'll have the inclination only to do good and only to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu and learn Torah and fulfill His will 100% in a much higher level than humanly possible now. Since no one's going to sin, the second position of the Satan, which is to go up to Hashem and tell him that people are sinning, is not going to be valid anymore. And third, since no one's going to die anymore, because there's no purpose of dying anymore, because the only reason people die is because of sins, either their own sin or Adam HaRishon's sin. But since that all is going to come to a culmination point, there's not going to be any more death anymore, so there's no more purpose for that tafkid. But it all starts with that original thing, which is that there's no inclination for people to sin anymore, because that job function will be slaughtered from the world. Once that job function is slaughtered from the world, the other two become null and void. The other two that follow. Halvai that we see those days.
How come I learned then that the Mashiach is going to pass away from this world eventually?
I'm not responsible for what you learn, unless you learn it for me. If you learn it for me and I made a mistake, I'm sorry. But if somebody else taught you a mistake, it's not my problem. So you have to be very careful with who you learn from. A lot of people say a lot of things for different reasons, either mistakenly or without an explanation. And that's why the Mishnah in Avot says, Chachamim tiz'aru b'divrechem. Chachamim, ya chacham. But you have to be careful with the things you say. Why? Because if you say things incorrectly, it can lead people to Gehenom instead of Gan Eden. So, the blanket statement that the Mashiach is going to die is incorrect. What is the full, or at least a little bit more body on that statement, is that there's going to be two Mashiachs. Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben David will never die. He's going to have Ruach Elokim in him. He's going to have the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu and David inside him, and he will never die. He will be the king. But then there's Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben Yosef will be the warrior that fights the wars, and there is a possibility that he will die. He will not definitely die. There's a possibility of that he will die. And there's a group of tzaddikim from around the world that pray every day and do special learning and mitzvot every day for him not to die. So there's no guarantee that he will die. It's a possibility that he will die. But that's Mashiach ben Yosef, and anyway, he will be, even if he dies, he will be resurrected like all of the other tzaddikim. But Mashiach ben David will never die. So if somebody told you Mashiach is going to die, just like that, that's simply a wrong statement. But if they told you everything I just said, and more, then that's correct. Next question. So, the questions always come from people in regards to someone that said something, and sometimes the mistake is done by the speaker, where the speaker assumes that you know what he's talking about. Meaning, he will say a story, and then I'll mention some side comment, like, yeah, you remember what happened with Avraham Avinu and his father, and continue, assuming you know what he's talking about. And if you're talking to a bunch of Talmidei Chachamim, Talmidei Yeshiva, people that have learned this with you, it's correct to do. But if you're talking to the general public, for the most part, it's incorrect. Unless it's just too long of an explanation. It's incorrect to do it simply because it's assuming people know what you're talking about, and many times they don't, and it makes them actually very, very confused. To assume people know the basics is incorrect in this generation, and probably quite a few generations before us even, but definitely this generation, because most people today, including religious people, do not know the basics. How do I know? I deal with them every single day. I deal with religious people, I deal with non-religious people, I deal with all types of people, and quite frankly, the vast majority of people do not know the basics. They simply do not know the basics. So assuming they know the basics is incorrect. So if you're going to say something with the assumption that people know the basics, then you're going to have a lot of confused people. And the audience that you have is going to be underserved. But that's sometimes the reason why people have confusions. Sometimes that's the reason why somebody will answer that question the way that you just said it, whether Mashiach is going to die, assuming you understood there's two Mashiachs and one is not going to die and one is going to die. He assumed maybe that's the reason.
He was talking about Mashiach ben David.
If he talked about Mashiach ben David, then he has to learn again. The other reason is sometimes that the listener mishears or misunderstands what the speaker says. Mishears and misunderstands. He says something, and the listener just doesn't hear it the right way. He misunderstands it. And this happens even more often. Even more often this happens. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu invented and created YouTube and video, which allows you to rewind 10 seconds, rewind 20 seconds, rewind 30 minutes, and hear it all over again, because you obviously did not arrive at the right conclusion. You hear it again, you play it again, and you hear it enough times, you'll understand it. Sometimes I myself listen to the same recording that Rabbi Ephraim sent me of an answer 15 times. Now I heard it the first time. It's a 2-minute recording. 2-minute recording. I heard it once, twice, 3, 4. I'll hear it 15 times. Why? Because until I know that I understand every word that he said in there, I'm not finished. Again and again and again and again. If I was you guys, if I was sitting in a, like, what I do with my rabbi? When I have my rabbi, if I talk to my rabbi, we have a shiur. Every day there's Baal Shem Tov shiur. I have a pen and paper in front of me. I write down as many words as I can. And after I write, I listen to the shiur. Just like everybody else listens on the internet. They listen to Rabbi Ephraim's shiur. I listen to shiur also, just like them. I'm one of the views. Sometimes 2, sometimes 10, sometimes 20. Why? I want to make sure I understand every word, depending on the shiur. If it's material that we've never covered, it's brand new, I'm going to hear it as many times as I have to until I remember it. But people listen to shiurim, they listen to shiurim every day, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, 10, for 10 years. Nothing changes. Why? Because they're listening. They're not learning. They're listening. Superficially, like music. So, sometimes the listener mishears the speaker, misunderstands the speaker, and arrives at the wrong conclusion. But then sometimes the speaker is a Rasha. Sometimes the speaker is a Rasha. And he simply has so much ego that he decides that he's going to contradict all of the Chachamim before him that said the opposite. He decides to say something that's completely unheard of. He decides to say something from his own mind as if he's equivalent to them. Like one of my dear friends went to visit Rasha, and he went to a Beit Knesset over there in Rasha. Unfortunately, another terrible Chabad story. And he goes to a big multi-million-dollar building, and he sees almost every single person drove to shul on Shabbat in the Keilah. Big Keilah, not like 5 people. Big Keilah, almost every single person drove to shul. Shtabach Shimo, like as if it became mutal, allowed to drive. Then, since he's familiar with the people, starts, wait, almost every single person is married to a Goya. Shtabach Shimo la'ad, as if it became mutal. Intermarriage became allowed. Now he's there on Shabbat. Who's going to get aliyah to the Torah? There's a few people that keep. Who's getting aliyah to the Torah? Every single aliyah, Michaleh Shabbat, married to a Goya. Every single aliyah. Then he says, here's the caveat. Here's the bonus. He says, here's a picture of one of the new Baalei Tshuva. He did Tshuva. What did he do? One guy did Tshuva in the Keilah. What did he do? He got a huge tattoo on his back. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Tattooed on his back. With an angel on top of it. See this big giant Russian guy, 400 pounds, with a tattoo of a verse in the Torah. You're not even allowed to erase it now. Not allowed to erase it now. Because it's a verse in the Torah, it's Hashem's name. Not allowed to erase Hashem's name when it's inscribed like that, engraved like that. But it's a sin. It's a Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva. Baal Tshuva. He says, Hashem Yachem, the things he told me. Some of the things, honestly, just giving you guys kavod, I don't want to mention some of the things he told me. Hashem Yachem, what's happening? Anyway, now you would think, okay, so if somebody, all these people are off, this, that, somebody says something to get them to do tshuva, chazak b'o, no? So he decides to take the initiative and start saying some chizuk to a few guys. You know, listen, you can't be married to this woman. You have to do tshuva. You have to keep Shabbat. Mashiach comes. It's he's only going to see people who do tshuva. The rabbi, the rabbi of this keilah, comes, interrupts him, says, hey, don't listen to him. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Mashiach comes, the Rebbe told us, Mashiach comes, everybody's saved. So he's Talmid Chacham, he knows what he's talking about. He goes, no, Rabbi, I'm sorry, but we have verses in the Torah. It says, David HaMelech says, Uba leTzion Goel Leshaveh Pesha B'Yaakov. The verse in the Torah says specifically that the Goel, the Mashiach, is only going to save people that do tshuva, not people that just drove to shul on Shabbat. People that do tshuva, keep mitzvot. No. Okay, but what about It says in the Torah, Yetziat Mitzrayim, Chamushim left Mitzrayim. Only a small portion of Am Yisrael, of Bnei Yisrael, left Mitzrayim. Hashem killed the rest of them because they didn't do tshuva. He says, no, over here, we don't believe that. Here in this Chabad, we don't believe that. It's a Meforaj in Torah. No, we don't believe that. The guy wanted to start crying. Wanted to start crying, mamash. Why? This, Rabotai, is literally destroying any chance that those poor people have of doing tshuva. Why? Because even if they've already made the mistake of marrying a non-Jew, even if they already made a mistake of not living a religious life, even if they already made a mistake of driving on Shabbat, even if they already made a mistake of Shem Yachem, how many mistakes they're making. What's their hope? Their hope is that the rabbi is what? The rabbi is going to tell them, my dear son, listen, Hashem says not to drive on Shabbat. Hashem says not allowed to marry a non-Jew. Hashem says this. Hashem says that. The rabbi's job is to do that. That's the point of the rabbi. But he doesn't do that. What does he tell them? Rosh Chodesh Elul, Rasha, on Shabbat. The only mitzvah, he tells them, Keilah, that my friend is over there. The only mitzvah you're all responsible for is give tzedakah to Chabad. That's it. I know that not all of Chabad is like this, but this is another example. Unfortunately, a lot of the bad stories come from Chabad. Not necessarily because they're all bad. There are many that are bad because they're the most common. It's as common as Starbucks. I mean, there's one in every corner, Baruch Hashem. Alvai, they all actually had people do tshuva before they become rabbis. Before you become a rabbi, do tshuva first. But Rabotai, this is happening all over the world. You think the story is bad? It's happening all over the world. They have the same exact story in Australia. Same exact story in Seattle. Same exact story in New York. Same exact story in Florida. Same exact story, mamash, in all four corners of the world. I have the same exact story. It's like I keep asking, how do these people know each other? How do they all have the same story? What, they all go to the same Chabad? It's that big, this Chabad? It's 4 continents? Out of 7, this one covers all 4. Where's this building? I can't see it. Everywhere, Rabotai. Why? Because, Rabotai Yekarim, the Gemara Masechet Sotah, page 49, says that before Mashiach comes, most of the rabbis are going to be Erev Rav. They're going to be Reshaim. Most of the people that are supposed to be doing one thing are going to be doing the opposite. And people that tell you the truth are going to be publicly embarrassed and made fun of. Chutzpah is gay. The chutzpah that people have, the nerve that people have, will reach new levels where they're going to literally tell people to do whatever you want, just give us money. That's your tshuva. If that's not bad enough, the rabbi knows that all the guys that are married to goyot doesn't say a single thing. He tells them give money. All the guys that are not married, he knows they all go to prostitutes on Shabbat. That's for mitzvah for Shabbat. They all go together. I have another Chabadnik over here, calls himself a Chabadnik. He married a Goya to a Kohen. All types of people destroying the Chabad name. Destroying the Chabad name. Destroying it. Why? You know what kind of tzaddikim Chabad had? You know what kind of tzaddikim Chabad had? The Rogatchover Rebbe, Allah Shalom, was a Chabadnik. You know Rogatchover Rebbe, Kodesh Kodeshim. He met Einstein, or better yet, Einstein met him. 5 minutes, Einstein came out of the room. He says, with his brain, you can make 4 Einsteins. They came to the rabbi, came to the Rogatchover Rebbe, later on told him, for the Rav, this Chacham Einstein was very impressed by you. Says you can make 4 of him with you. He goes, what? What was he so impressed about? All we talked about is his shtuyot. His nonsense about the E equals MC square. I just showed him all of that stuff is already in the Torah from thousands of years ago. All we talked about for 4 minutes is his nonsense. If he wants to be impressed, come learn Gemara with me, I'll show you. Meaning, Einstein, what was Einstein impressed? He wasn't impressed, but the Rogatchover Rebbe was able to show him different halachot inside some verse in the Torah in some magical way. No. Einstein was impressed that in a matter of seconds, his 40, 50, 60 years of work was on a fingertip of the Rogatchover Rebbe, who knew more about it than he did. From the Torah, though. The Rogatchover Rebbe, Rabotai, was very khalif, very, very sharp. And you couldn't fool him for nothing. And he was very, very hard on people that wanted to be chachamim. He didn't give you an easy route. He'd rip you apart. And some, mamash, a lot of people would must leave meetings with him crying, hysterical. One time, this Rasha, there was a Rosh Yeshiva, very arrogant, known to be arrogant, coming into town, and he asked him, "You gonna go meet the Rogatchover Rebbe?" He says, "Yeah, I'll go meet him." So he went to go meet the Rogatchover Rebbe. He said, "Kol Rav, this is Rosh Yeshiva. He's here in town." So the guy did what I was talking about in the beginning of the shiur. As an introduction, he told him his resume. "Oh, I wrote this book, and this, and that, I did this, and I have a yeshiva, he's showing his glory. So the Rogatchover Rebbe says, Zaku Baruch, that's it. It was nice to him. So before the guy left, he says, Kvod Rav, it's not nice what they say about you. He says, well, what did they say about me? He says, they say that you're very harsh on Talmidei Chachamim. He says, I am. On Talmidei Chachamim. I'm harsh on them. If you didn't get the joke, he's telling the guy, he's not a Talmid Chacham, so why should I be harsh on you? Very, very sharp individual. Somebody that had enough Torah in his mind that somebody that was a Chacham, Talmid Chacham, had a sugya, had a complication. He couldn't arrive at a solution in the Torah. Studying it, couldn't find something. So he wrote a letter. In those days, didn't have computers. So I heard this story from Rav Yaron Reuven, Shlita, Shichyeh. He says, somebody sent a letter to the Rogatchover Rebbe. He said, Kvod Rav, I have this sugya, this complication, I can't find an answer, and it's bothering me at night. I can't go to sleep. What should I do? Can you give me an answer? So the Rogatchover Rebbe writes him a letter, gives him over 50 different sources. He didn't give him the answer like I give you guys answer, I give you the whole story, you ask a question, I give you 15 minutes answer, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, and I show you how to make words out of it. No, he just says, look, Gemara Baba Metzia, page 37a. Look, Baba Metzia, Tosfot over there. Look, this one over there. This one over there. This one over there. Give me the page numbers and that. Because the guy's telling me, Chacham, he's not starting out. Gives him over 50 different sources. So the guy gets a letter, starts looking at the sources. Has nothing to do with his question. There's no way, it's a Chacham. He's not like giving me a wrong answer. Studies all the sources, over 50 different sources. Everything, and he said, look at the Tosfot here, Tosfot there, Tosfot here, Tosfot there. Nothing. After a month of studying it, he writes another letter. He goes, Kvod Rav, I'm sorry. I studied all the sources, all the Tosfot that you gave me. I don't even know. I maybe make a mistake. But how is this relevant to my question? The Rogatchover Rebbe writes him a letter back. He goes, if you notice, all of the places that I gave you, the Tosfot over there, Tosfot was a group of almost 2,000 Chachamim. It wasn't one person. I actually used to think it was only one person. Tosfot was like Rashi, one person. No, Tosfot was a group of over 2,000 Chachamim. He says, if you notice, Tosfot in all of those places had a question, unanswered question. They had a question about what was happening in the Gemara, but didn't have an answer. But yet you continue seeing Tosfot everywhere else in the Gemara. Meaning that even if you reach a complication you don't have an answer to, you keep going, don't worry. You keep going. That's the answer. That's more valuable than just giving you the answer on a silver platter. Don't decide, I can't learn anymore until I find the answer. Sometimes you have to keep learning even if you don't know the answer. So one of the things that you'll notice as you learn more and more Torah is that the Chachamim, the real Chachamim, write more and less. More information with less words. The books that you buy from, today, a lot of the modern stuff that people write, quite frankly, kvodam bimkomam, everybody put a lot of toil into their work and so on and so forth, but you cannot compare it to the writings of the Gdolei Ador. You cannot compare it to the writings of the Achronim, the giants of the generation. You cannot compare it to anything before them. And it's a nice book. It gave me a little emunah boost. It's a nice book. Gave me a little chizuk, and explained to me a couple of stories. But you can't compare the two. It's a world of difference. But then you see also a very interesting thing, that the writings of the Achronim were the latest sages. Most recent one, when they write answers on a question, they write mamash chapters, and in some cases entire books on just one answer. Books, chapters, and hundreds of pages on one answer. And in there they have literally dozens, if not hundreds of sources. But then you look at the Rishonim, the Rambam, the Ramban, all of the giants from 600 years ago, 800 years ago, 900 years ago. They don't write that much. You see the Rambam's Mishneh Torah, he writes an answer. The whole halacha, one paragraph. Sometimes 2 sentences, 1 sentence. Sometimes it's a page and a half, but generally it's small. But if you look at some of his Talmidim from 500 years later, or 800 years later, let's say, write an explanation of what he wrote 900 years ago. He wrote a whole 5 books on this little paragraph. So the question is, how come the answers of the Rishonim from 900 years ago is so simple, if you will, so minimal, if you will, but the Achronim so elaborate? Now everyone knows that the Rishonim, the Rambam, the Ramban, the Rabash, all of the giants, they're bigger than the Achronim. Rabbi Yosef Karo is bigger than anyone that lived in the last 100 years. You can't compare the two. So how come the Rabbi Yosef Karo wrote an halacha in 3 sentences, the Rambam wrote an halacha in 2 sentences, but if you see somebody in the last 20 years write a book, he wrote a whole book on one halacha. What, they have more Torah? No, it can't be possible. They're better, they're higher. How come? So I heard a fantastic answer from, like I said, Rabbi Yaron Reuven. And he says, everyone knows that the generation of the Rambam and the Achronim were bigger. Everybody knows. No one is saying that their Torah is less. So how come the ones that lived more recently have more elaborate answer? He says, when somebody's blind and he's looking for an exit, what does he do? Touches all the walls. Let me check here. No, it's not here. No, let me check here. Check here. They check everywhere. They touch everywhere just to make sure where. Eventually they find a door. When someone can see, they go straight to the door. Meaning that even though the Achronim, Gdolei Ador, Kodesh Kodeshim, they had Ruach HaKodesh, still they were considered blind in comparison to the Rambam. We're talking about people, people, Malachei HaSharet, Arav Ovadia, the Chazon Ish, Chafetz Chaim, the Stipler Gaon. These people were Malachim. considered blind in comparison to the Rambam. And the Rambam is considered blind in comparison to Rabbi Akiva. Such is the difference between the Chachamim, even though they're all big, they're all tzaddikim, they're all great, they're all everything. Needless to say, people today that speak freely and say things freely, and if the giants of the generation were considered blind in comparison to the previous generations, who are you and who do you think you are to come up with a chidush that contradicts them? So how come their Torah is so elaborate? Is because they're not contradicting them. What are they doing? It's like, I have a chidush, I have a new thing, but it's not really me. I'm going to give you 50 different chachamim, 50 different proofs that said the same thing. It's just, I'm going to condense it into one book. All of these chachamim that came before me, they said the same thing. I'm just going to show you all of it in one book. It's not really my idea. I'm just shedding light on it. I was shedding light on a pre-existing idea, but it was spread everywhere. So I'm going to give you 50 different sources, 150 different sources that's saying what I'm saying to you in a simple way. But because I cannot contradict the Rambam, I cannot contradict anybody before me, what am I going to do? I'm going to give you the sources that this actually already exists, just in a nicer format. So the real Chachamim, they're not bringing anything new, if you will. They're in essence showing you that everything already exists and already has existed. Which means that if anybody here comes today and has the audacity to tell you they have a new tradition, a new idea, run away as far as you possibly can from that person. And the reason is, they're either evil, like this guy from Rasha, and anyone that does what he does, that tells people that the only mitzvah they have to do is give tzedakah, or they're too stupid to even deal with. They're too stupid to even know they're stupid, thinking that their idea, their chidush has legs to walk on, and they can challenge the gedolim before them. It's not a problem to have a chidush, as long as the chidush has legs. Meaning, what does legs mean? Legs mean there are other chachamim that have said the same thing, that agree with your idea. It doesn't contradict anything before you. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand this, and they think that the Torah has changed. And that's why they fall trapped to such wicked people that run keilot and speak against the Torah, speak against the emet. So what do you do in a situation like this? What do you do in a situation where you have wicked people that are supposed to be leaders surrounding you? Rabbi tells you that you're allowed to go gamble. Rabbi tells you you're allowed to be with a prostitute as long as she's not Jewish. Rabbi tells you you're allowed to drive as long as you're driving to Shabbat. Rabbi tells you all types of things that are complete nonsense. There's no source for it in the Torah. But he tells you stuff like this. What do you do? Or perhaps you have family members that say things like this. The following. Number one, if it's a rabbi, run away from him. There's no hope for such a person. You're not going to change the rabbi. Run away, because if you don't, he'll turn you into him. You have to run away as far as possible. Don't learn from him. Don't listen to his lectures. Not even to a joke. Something that's impure only produces impure. Meaning that even if it's something that seems neutral, like a joke, you shouldn't learn it, you shouldn't listen to it if it's coming from such a person, because it's full of venom. But if it's a family member or just a regular person in the keilah that's just is confused, ignorant, and so on, try to, if you have the strength and the knowledge, try to rebuke them, try to bring them the truth. But if you don't, if you have, let's say, a family member, you have a cousin, you have an aunt, you have a mother, you have a father, you have somebody in your family that's like this, and you're in a situation where you don't have really much to do, then if you can't rebuke them and you cannot run away, meaning you're stuck, let's say you're a 15-year-old kid and your father is a heretic. Your father is, mamash, he tells people to drive on Shabbat. And you can't move out, you're 15. What do? Nothing. Don't do anything. Focus on yourself. If you're in a situation where you cannot rebuke, then you focus on yourself, because that will be the rebuke. Like I said, you could always send them my lectures, my clips, and so on. But aside from that, don't even worry about rebuking them. Just simply focus on yourself. Focus on you doing tshuva and perfect yourself, because that will be the biggest rebuke in the world. And that's, again, this is only if you don't have a choice. You're a 15-year-old kid, you can't move out, and your father's a kofel, your mom's a kofel. But if you have a choice, then obviously do something else. And every case has to be evaluated. But sometimes people tell me, listen, what do? I'm married to this guy and he's this and that. I'm not going to tell everybody to get divorced. You have to try to get him back. You got to try to do tshuva. It's going to take some time, and so on and so forth. In the meantime, how? Focus on yourself. Why? Because what ends up happening is that if you increase your own kedusha, you increase your own knowledge, you apply this knowledge to your life, that itself is going to be something that's going to get people to want to do what you're doing. More than anything that you can say. More than anything else that you can say. Why? Because what ends up happening is that they see how your life is turning out. And they see how their life is turning out. 2 years have passed, 3 years have passed, you're listening to this rabbi, you're doing tshuva, you're fixing yourself. And what happens? You're becoming a better person. All of a sudden, the market crashes, but no sweat. All of a sudden, there's traffic, but no sweat. You're calm. All of a sudden, there's a hurricane, and no sweat. I was like, wow, there's a hurricane? Oh, I didn't know. You don't care. Why? You know HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. It's like as if you're like an autopilot. You're just living in the world, and you understand Hashem runs the world. You have no stress. You have complete bitachon. Whether you have money, you don't have money, you're perfectly happy. 3 years have passed. They're still the same behema they were 3 years ago, if not worse. They still curse like filthy animals. They still look at everything that moves. Their marriage is even worse today than it was before. Their kids are gotten worse. Their life has gotten worse. At best case scenario, it stayed the same miserable life as it was 3 years ago, while your life has improved. That you cannot ignore. Because they see, your life is turning out peaches. Their life is like a rotten apple. So that, Rabotai, inspires people. More than anything else that I can say. And eventually what ends up happening is that those people, if they have a little bit of truth in them, they start asking you for advice. And eventually maybe even ask you for blessings. Now, the point is, it all depends if they have a little bit of truth in them and they are willing to break their arrogance, which is very hard for people. Now, what ends up happening sometimes is that people, instead of focusing on the basics like I just recommended, they try to do something else. They try to do something supernatural. They try to go to a tzaddik, or somebody that says he's a tzaddik, or mikubal. Say, maybe if I get the blessing of the mikubal, my brother will do tshuva. Maybe if I get the blessing and the special water and the red string or purple string or the kamea of the mikubal, then my wife will do tshuva, start putting some clothes on. Or my father will do this. Or my cousin, maybe this, maybe that. They start looking for a shortcut. And they ignore, in essence, not only they don't rebuke anybody, but they ignore rebuking themselves. They ignore their own tshuva. They figure, okay, I'm keeping Shabbat, I'm keeping a few basic stuff. I'm good. I'm on autopilot. I just got to get everybody else to catch up to me, as if they're okay. They're the level to catch up to. They forget about their own tshuva. This, Rabotai, is a very, very big mistake. Because relying on all of these mystical things to save your problems is another problem of itself. And many of these people that people go to are not only not mekubalim, but even if they are able to do something, usually they're using the kochot hatuma. They're using impure powers. And they create more problems than anything else. Now, how do I know this? We go to those same Rishonim. Same Rishonim that I just told you that they are walking like people with perfect vision, while the Achronim, the sages of recent generations, are walking like blind people. Us, we're like, I don't know what we are. We're like worms with no eyes. Blind is not even a description. We go to these Achronim, what they say. We go to the Rivash. Rivash lived in Barcelona 600 years ago. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Sheshet. He had several Rabbanim. One of his, he was one of the Gedolei Ador. After his rabbis, which were the Gedolei Ador, passed, one of them was Rav Peretz HaKohen. And the Rivash answered a lot of things in regards to halacha. And one time somebody asked him a question. Kvod Harav, what do we do in regards to all of these special prayers that people do, that they add to their siddur? These things called kavanot. Well, it's this, if you look at specific names and letters, or you see an extra prayer above and beyond the norm. The extra stuff, small print, that a special siddur, that has special kavanot from the Arizal, and so on and so forth. Should we do all of those prayers or no? So in Siman Aleph, Amud Kuf Nun, he says, what do we do in regards to all of these special spirot and so on? He says, regarding all of these spirot, all of these holy names and special kavanot that are added to the sidurim, that are added to people, make themselves a little poster and read this special prayer above and beyond that some mekubal wrote to them, or some kamer that somebody gave them, and so on and so forth. The Rishon, the Rivash, says regarding all of them, we do not use them at all. And my Rav, he says, Rav Peretz HaKohen, would never even speak of them nor use them in any way, shape, or form. And I know that the Gdol Ador, Rabbi Shimshon Mikinozal, himself said, meaning somebody that's even before him and his rabbi, 700 years ago, himself says, what about all of these special kavanot, the special Kabbalah stuff? What about all that stuff? He says, when I pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu like a tinok. What's a tinok? A baby. What's a baby? What does a baby ask for, Hashem? Abba, give me some food. Abba, give me some candy. Abba, I want to go to the bathroom. Abba, the basic stuff. The simplest of all. Now, how could this be? The Arizal was Kodesh Kodashim. No one disagrees. The Mekubalim, all of these giants that I mentioned, they all knew Kabbalah. They all Mekubalim themselves. So how come they're saying they're not using this? What does it mean? In fact, they're saying now they're using it, they pray like a baby. So what's the idea? One of the ways that these fake Chabadniks fool people into believing that they're tzaddikim and they know better than everybody else. And it's not just fake Chabadniks, it's also other fakers. I mentioned Chabad because it's unfortunately, again, like I said, more common and more, just more of them teaching this type of stuff, is by teaching people mystical Judaism. Telling you You have to look at the shoresh neshama. You have to go into the source of your neshama and find this and look at this and the sfirot and the kavanot, and they give you all types of letters that make a name of some angel, and they tell you for $550 you can get this and you put it on your wall, it's going to solve your problems. And then when you get more problems, it's, oh, that's because you only have the first part. You need the second part, it's $4,500. And you're so desperate you buy the second one for $4,500, and then you have even more problems. Why? Because now you're missing $5,000, and that's more problems. And they say, oh, I have a sgula for you. What? Sgula for parnasah. And they give you a sgula for parnasah. You go to some mekubal, go to some sgula for parnasah, and you buy the sgula, and you go home, and after you pay them $1,000, and guess what? Nothing changes. But it's true, it is a sgula for parnasah. It's just for him, though. Sgula for his parnasah. He got $1,000. It's good for his parnasah. One of these jokers went to Rabbi Chaim. He says, how you doing? He goes, Baruch Hashem, everything's good. He goes, what do you do? It's the topic came up. He goes, oh, I know, I write kameh for people. You need a kameh? He tells Rabbi Chaim, he goes, you need a kameh? I'm going to write the kameh for you. He goes, what kind of kameh? He goes, I can make you a kameh for parnasah. He goes, oh, okay. No, I don't need, thank you. And he says, so how about you? Are you doing okay? He goes, the guy, the Mekubal. He goes, no, I'm struggling a little bit. He goes, what's wrong? He goes, no, Parnasah is weak. So Ephraim says, so why don't you write yourself a kameh? Write yourself a kameh, it's good for Parnasah, no? What do I mean to write kameh for Parnasah? It's good for their Parnasah. If you giving them $1,000, it's going to help their Parnasah. It's not going to help you. And unfortunately, a lot of these fakers, they teach the masses things that have truth in them, but are simply not relevant to the speaker or the spoken. It's not relevant to the one speaking, it's not listening to the one that's listening to it. But since it's so out of the ordinary, and you start mentioning angels and special things and spirits and names, it fools the people into a state of mental numbness. They're just going to take whatever this guy says to them. They're never going to question anything that he does that's unusual. He's raising $500,000 for the shul, but the shul itself, the whole building, costs $300,000. What do you need $500,000 for? He didn't tell you. That's because the extra few hundred is for his own kitchen. You don't understand what's going on here. How come? How come this? How come that? How come nobody in the Kehillah keeps Shabbat? How come nobody in the Kehillah does anything? You don't know anything. How come this rabbi speaks so strongly against you? How come? If everything is good, how come there's so much problems? So, it's because people, Rabotai, are being taught things that are not relevant to them. Most of the time it's complete nonsense and falsehood. But it sounds good. Because they'll mention a tzaddik's name, they'll attach it to their stuff, they'll mention some things that are unusual and mystical, they'll attach it to this. They'll do all types of mishmash to make it sound like they're all-knowing, and let you completely ignore the basics. And many times these reshaim that mislead the public do it in the name of Chassidut. They don't teach you the truth about Chassidut, but they'll teach you things in the name of Chassidut. So, Chassidut was started by the Baal Shem Tov. Even though Chassidut is already mentioned in the Gemara, over 1,000 years before the Baal Shem Tov was even born, Chassidut is a movement, which from it, Chabad and Bobov and Vishnitz and Breslev and other Chassiduts all broke off into. And everyone says, it starts with the Baal Shem Tov. So the Baal Shem Tov, Alav Shalom, was Kodesh Kodeshim. Mamash had Ruach HaKodesh. He performed miracles that Chachamim say anyone that believes all of the stories in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, of all the mystical things that he did, literally is a fool. But anyone that doesn't believe him is a kofir. Why? What do you think? He couldn't do it? Some of the stories are 100%, as they're told. Crazy stuff. Mamash knew what's going on in Shamayim. Some of the stuff is a little bit of embellishment. But it's not, doesn't mean that he couldn't do it. He mamash understood what's going on in Shemaim. The Baal Shem Tov had a Talmid, who originally wasn't his Talmid, was actually his enemy. Made him his Talmid. His name was the Baal Toldot, the Rabbi Yaakov Yosef, mi Poland. And the Baal Toldot, one day the Baal Shem Tov comes to him and he says, I want you to be the one that is the tokeh of the shofar, blows the shofar on Rosh Hashanah for us in this holiday. To go blow the shofar, it's not like today everybody goes on the internet, goes on Amazon or something, or some Judaica store, they order a shofar, 2 months later, there's a shofar. What shofar? They learn on the internet how to blow a shofar. No, to blow a shofar, first of all, you should pick somebody that's tzaddik to blow a shofar. The rest of it is irrelevant. If you have a tzaddik, the rest of it you'll have. But anyway, the Baal Shem Tov says, I want you to be the one that blows the shofar for us. I'm not at this level. I don't know all the kavanot that you have, the takanot, the things. You go, no, don't worry. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you all the kavanot that you need to have in mind when you're blowing the shofar. And if you remember everything I teach you, you will be able to save all of Am Yisrael from any judgment for the entire year. Because these kavanot I'm going to teach you for a month straight. We're going to learn all month of Elul. We're going to learn every day, the whole month of Elul I'm going to teach you. You're going to know all the kavanot. And when you blow the shofar, this shofar, with these kavanot, these special names you'll have in your head, it's going to open all the gates where none of the prosecutors against anyone in Am Yisrael will be able to have a case. Such a schut, such a merit, such an honor, but same time such a responsibility. They start learning. He's teaching them all these things. Just so you know, kavanot, you'll find them in all of your sidurim. You'll have a little bit of it. Some of it's, the sidurim of the mekubalim are very different than the traditional sidur. For example, the Sfirat HaOmer that you have in your sidur, Sfirat HaOmer that you have is usually 2 pages. Every sidur, 2 pages, 3 pages, Sfirat HaOmer. Today is this day of the Omer. That's many days left, and so on and so forth. The Mekubalim, their Sfirat HaOmer is a Sidur itself. 500 pages. Just for Sfirat HaOmer. We're not talking about Amidah, Shachrit. No. We're talking about just Sfirat HaOmer. That's those 2-3 pages with all the special names of angels and this and that. It's almost 500 pages. When you pray on Yom Kippur, you're going to pray in the morning for several hours. The Mekubalim, the real Mekubalim, every day is like that. The whole year. Arvit, it takes, 10, 15 minutes. Could take them 3 hours. But that's real Mekubalim. They have these kavanot, they have all these names, and so on and so forth. So the Baal Shem Tov told his Talmid, I'm going to teach you all the kavanot you need to have in your mind when you're blowing the shofar. To remember all of them. And they're learning. He says, I can't remember all of this. I can't remember. It's too much. So, I'll write it on a piece of paper. In shorthand. So because it's so much, you can't write it all. It's going to be a whole book. In shorthand to memorize everything. Okay? Rosh Hashanah comes. You're praying. The time comes for blowing the shofar. The Baal Toldot, his mind goes blank. He forgets all of the kavanot. Everything he learned for the last month, he forgets everything. So, Baruch Hashem, I have the paper. So he looks into his machzor. Paper. The paper has vanished from the world. Nothing. Now, this is the Beit Knesset of the Baal Shem Tov. It's not your regular Chabad or Breslov center. This is the Bekneset of the Baal Shem Tov. All of his Keilah, Kodesh Kodeshim. Everything is relying on him. Am Yisrael is relying on him right now. There's nothing that he can do. It's time to blow the shofar. He forgets everything. There's no hope in sight. And he takes it so hard, he starts hysterical crying while he's blowing the shofar. And you see water coming out of his eyes. Water, mamash, like a fountain. But he doesn't know the kavanot. He's just blowing like a regular, average guy. But he's crying, misken, the poor guy. He's like, I just let Am Yisrael down. I let the Baal Shem Tov down. I let the Keilah down. What did I do? Maybe in Shamayim, that's what they're telling me. What are you doing dealing with the things of heaven, you little nothing? Well, that's what they're telling me. Who says that we're going to allow you to have the kavanot? Who says that we want you to say these names? Who says that you have the permission to say these names? Who do you think you are? Why? Because you came to this Bekneset? What? Wait, I'm all this. Oh, wow, the guy, poor guy, takes it so hard. He's hysterical, crying, blowing the shofar. After he finishes blowing the shofar, prayer is finished. Comes to the Baal Shem Tov. He sees the Baal Shem Tov smiling like this. He's crying, miskin. He's got tears everywhere. Looks like he just had a tragedy. In his life, he did. He says, Kvod Arab, you probably know, but I forgot everything. I didn't think of any of the kavanot. He sees the Baal Shem Tov laughing. He goes, no, Kvod Arab, even the piece of paper that I wrote everything, I lost it. And he sees the Baal Shem Tov giggling. He goes, no, Kvod Arab, I not only forgot, I didn't have the paper. When I blew the shofar, I didn't have any kavanot at all, nothing. And he sees the Baal Shem Tov giggle. He goes, what are you making fun of me? He says, no, my son. He says, listen, I prayed a special prayer for you to lose that piece of paper. What? You prayed for me to lose the paper? Yeah. But you're the one that taught me everything for the last month. He goes, exactly. So why? He says, I already knew you're not going to remember everything in 30 days. All those kavanot take a long time to remember. You can't remember everything in 30 days. So I knew you're not going to remember everything. But then when you came up with the idea of writing the piece of paper, I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, take this piece of paper. Why? Because I can't steal it from you. That's gezel. So I prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please take away this paper somehow. And Baruch Hashem, my prayer got accepted. He says, yes, but Kvod Arav, why? Why did you teach me this just so I could fail? He says, because the kavanot, they are keys. Each kavanah is a key to a different gate in heaven. It's a key. But a broken heart full of tears, one that tried to do the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but failed, but is crying about failing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, failing Am Yisrael, that breaks the whole door down. What you did, your crying, did a whole lot more than any kavanah in the world can do. So you see that even though the Baal Shem Tov knew all of the kavanot, knew all of the Kabbalah you can possibly imagine, and the Mekubalim know all of that stuff, they're never going to tell you replace broken heart with a kavanah, with the mystical stuff, with the stuff that's above and beyond nature. No, that's an extra additive. If you're an expert in everything else, then you add a little sauce on it. Then you add a little bit of flavor into it. But there's nothing ever better than the prayer of the Tinok. What's the Tinok do? My little baby Yosef, you know what he does in the morning? As soon as he wakes up, if he wants something, if he's hungry, if he has something in his pants he doesn't like, guess what he does? Wah, wah. Why? Because what babies do. They cry. They cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And as soon as you give him his bottle, as soon as you change his diaper, guess what he does? He smiles. As happy as can be. That, Rabotai, is what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do. Simple stuff. Not the stuff, the elaborate that gets us into trouble, believing in false teachers, believing in false teachings. All of this nonsense that people are falling mamash victims to, but in reality they're also criminals themselves because they allow themselves to fall into this stuff. They're looking for a shortcut because they don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to keep Shabbat and change their behavior and be honest in their business and do all the things they're responsible. So they're looking for some shortcut. Can I just buy Judaism? Can I just buy Olam Haba? Can I just buy Gan Eden with the money that God gave me? God gave me money. Can I buy Gan Eden too? If he's God, didn't he also give you the money also? Never thought about that? No, the Rebbe never told me that. Yes, because the Rebbe never told you anything, because you never read his books even. So a lot of people say things in the name of the Rebbe. The Rebbe was a tzaddik. Don't believe anything that people say unless you read it for yourself. Read it for yourself. He has, Baruch Hashem, many books. It's all published on the internet. Most of it is free. If something that's being said by some tzaddik contradicts the reality that we learn, the basics that we learn, double check it. And I promise you, almost 100% of the time you'll see that they never said it. Almost 100% of the time you'll see they never said it, and even when they said it, they didn't say it exactly like there was some person saying it. There's nothing that's ever going to change from the Torah. The basics, basic Mesirut Nefesh, self-sacrifice, the basic sacrifice that we have to do in order to overcome all of the obstacles in this life, in order to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order to arrive at Gan Eden one day, there is no two ways about it. No one can buy their ticket with money. No one can buy their ticket because they go pray at a specific tzaddik's grave. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way of doing it. If you do not learn Torah every day, you simply do not have a chance. Why? Because you're not going to know how to live a Jewish life. If you do not fulfill mitzvot as if it's air that you're breathing, you're not going to get there. And no rabbi can help you. No rabbi can help you. If you allow yourself to be vulnerable by simply depending only on what people said and not on what you read yourself, you're making yourself the victim. It's nobody else's fault. They're not going to tell you in heaven, oh, what, the rabbi over there, he misled you? Oh, okay, we'll let you in Gan Eden anyway. That's never happened in history. Why? Because even though this fake rabbi, he's going to get Genom for sure, that does not give you the right to sin. Why? Because you had to double check what he said. You still had a responsibility to learn Torah. And if you really wanted to learn the truth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have provided to you in a silver platter, even after somebody taught you falsehood. Plenty of people come to me, Baruch Hashem, believing complete nonsense, but leave knowing the truth. To such an extent that mamash, we have people that believed in 100% idolatry, in Christianity, in Catholicism. They tried to missionize me. Now, Baruch Hashem, some of them are already converted. Some of them are in the process of conversion to Judaism. They're more religious than any Jew I know. But they came to me believing in some idol, in a statue, in a man. But now they're tzaddikim. How? They were looking for the truth. They thought they had it. They thought they had the truth. But they were shown that they had falsehood, and the truth still exists, and it's not what they have. They adopted it. That's it. Finished. No convincing necessary. No, oh, let's argue. I don't argue with anybody. You argue with me, I hang up. Oh, delete. Usually it's delete because I don't usually pick up the phone. Oh, let's have a debate. No. How about that? How about an answer no? You want to have a debate? Go debate yourself. Smash your head against the wall until it hurts enough you don't want to debate anymore. And then, when there's still, you wake up from that headache, press play on the YouTube video. Finish debate. You got action, and you got information. What? What do you want? Debate means that your information has any value to me. And I'm insecure about my information. I'm perfectly secure with my information, and your information about Christianity and Catholicism has zero value to me. Zero value, zero merit. There's no debate to be had. No, but explain this. I don't want to. No, but you have to. No, I don't. There's plenty of information available to answer every question that you have. You go to my shiur, it answers 90% of your questions. If it doesn't, there's plenty of other shiurim that we recommend. Rabbi Mizrahi's debate, Rabbi Tovia Singer's, and so on and so forth, if you're coming from that part of the world. If you're coming from the Jewish world, there's Baruch Hashem over 1,000 videos, Baruch Hashem, that we've done over the last 5 years. 1,000 videos that you can learn from. By the time you learn 100, you're already a tzaddik. 200, you're a rabbi. You go learn those videos, you're never going to believe any nonsense ever again. So how come some people learn 200-300 videos, but they're still kufrim? How come? Because while they're learning that, they never abandon the avodah zarah. They learn both. They're being entertained. So that's one of the things, Rabotai Kareem, that we have to understand. It's very, very important to know that, yes, there are mystical things in the world. There are things in the world that can help, but nothing goes above and beyond the basics. The basics is what we need. The basics is the only thing that's going to get us to Gan Eden. There's no shortcut whatsoever. And I promise you that the day is going to come and all of these wicked people that mislead people, they're going to have to pay for it. The question is how many people they're going to take down along with them. Realistically speaking, anyone that wants to know the truth seriously will find it. That's a promise in the Torah. That's a promise that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in the Torah. If you're really looking for the truth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises to give it to you. He promises to give it to you. But if you're looking for a shortcut, you'll get that too. You'll get that too. I know I was planning on talking a little bit about bitachon, but it just didn't fit with some of the other things that we mentioned. But I can tell you one last thing in regards to bitachon, and then we'll finish for the night. We'll see you next week. Is that in order to handle all of these wicked people, these false teachers, whether it be on the internet or live, you have to have bitachon. And the reason why is, can you lower it a little bit? It's making too much. You have to have a bitachon. Why? Because bitachon means you have to have confidence in HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He knows what He's doing. He knows what He's doing. Because it's very easy to say, wait a minute, if there's all these wicked people that are misleading people, how come Hashem lets them live? I asked the question also. Some people are so wicked, mamash manipulate the Torah to such a high extent. I'm thinking to myself, how does Hashem let such a Rasha live? The guy is mamash destroying the Torah. How does Hashem let, and he does it in like Falesia. Big video, telling people, no, Hashem needs you. Hashem needs you. God needs you more than you need Him. There's one clown that says in almost every single video, Hashem needs you more than you need Him. He needs your mitzvot. Why? He created you. Why? Because He needs you. You didn't create yourself. Like, he has this stupid logic, and people, they like grab onto him like it's what Hashem needs you? Hashem needs you. Saying Hashem needs you is kfirah. Hashem is perfect. When you pray, you're telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm sorry for all of my failings every day. What do we say at the beginning of Alvit? What do we say at the beginning of Alvit? We say, Hashem, our failures, because we have our failures. Mamash, it's unbelievable. People never understand what they actually read. Just look at the beginning of Alvit. Everybody has this. And He, the merciful one, will forgive our iniquity and will not destroy us many times. and will not turn and will turn away his anger, and his anger will not be aroused, and his wrath will not be aroused. Hashem, the King, may answer all of our prayers. And before we even start our Vit, we're already saying, Hashem, we failed. Please give us another chance, in so many words, and don't destroy us. So why would a creator that needs you, should you be afraid of him destroying you? If he needs you. If I need something, I'm not going to destroy it. If I need money, I'm not going to start burning money in the streets. If I need anything, I'm not going to start destroying it. People say Hashem needs you. It's complete stupidity. It's humanizing God. But people do this all the time. And so you have to ask yourself, how come Hashem lets such people live, and not only live, become so popular? If you look at some of the most popular speakers, they're the worst people on earth. In the Christian world, you have the most popular ones. They get literally 50, 100, 200,000 people to watch them live every Sunday, and millions around the world every Sunday. All they say is things against God. In the Jewish world, Hashem Yachem, you see some people have 300,000-400,000 views on a video that's complete heresy. In one case, I saw one guy has a video, 1.1 million views. The entire video is kfirah. But his beard sweeps the floor, white as a Santa Claus. And nobody calls it out. Nobody says nothing. How come? How come Hashem lets these people live? You have to have bitachon that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what He's doing. You have to have confidence that HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows these people to live, because it's part of our test to see whether we're going to stick to the system, the basic, the seemingly boring system, the seemingly mundane, the seemingly unexciting. Do we stick to it, or do we go into something a little more exciting? We go into something more bells and whistles, a few more cool names. Maybe I could put them on my walls. Go delve into the Zohar before I even finish the Chumash. Go into the Kabbalah Center before I even understand how to spell Kabbalah in Hebrew. Go and learn all the mystical stories of the Mekubalim before I even understand what a Mekubal really is, or what it actually means. Go there. Why? It's part of that test. How do we know? David HaMelech told us. David HaMelech in Tehillim number 115. He says, Israel betach be'Adonai, Ezram u'maginam hu. Bet Aaron bitchu be'Adonai, Ezram u'maginam hu. Yirei Adonai bitchu be'Adonai, Ezram u'maginam hu. In Tehillim number 115, verse number 9. It begins and he says, David HaMelech says, O Israel has bitachon in Hashem, meaning they have trust in Hashem. Their help and their shield is He. Meaning that because they have trust in Hashem, Am Yisrael, because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is their shield and He helps them. The house of Aaron, trust in Hashem, their help and their shield is He. Wait a minute, but Aaron is not part of Am Yisrael? And he says, and those you fear Hashem, trust in their you fear Hashem, trust in Hashem, their help and their shield is He. Wait, hold on a second. You just said, Am Yisrael, trust in Hashem, He's going to be your shield. Then you said, Bet Aaron, trust in Hashem. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Bet Aaron is not part of Am Yisrael. And then another one said, Yirei Shamayim, those people that have Yirat Shamayim, Hashem is going to protect you also because you have bitachon in them. Hold on a second. What? The ones that have Yirat Shamayim are not Jewish? Why? If you have Yirat Shamayim, you're not Jewish anymore. It makes you more Jewish. So the Malbim writes, and he says, here we see that David HaMelech is explaining that there is levels levels of closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the basic level. Everyone. It's Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, even if you don't know a lot of Torah, even if you're not the biggest tzaddik in the world, you have bitachon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even of things that don't make sense, like false teachers, and poverty, and cancer, and all types of things that don't make sense. But you have confidence in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He's going to shield you. He's going to help you. Oh, okay, that's the average guy. Poor guy doesn't know anything. So, yeah, well, he's like desperate anyway. What other choice does he really have anyway? Who is going to trust? Donald Trump? Who is going to trust his bank account? Who is going to trust? He has no other choice. So then David HaMelech says, but even if you're Aaron, even if you're Bet Aaron, what's Bet Aaron? Bet Aaron is the Mekubalim. The ones that know Kabbalah, the ones that know all the stuff, what's happening in Shamayim. What's Aaron HaKohen? The Gemara in Masechet Yoma says, what's a Kohen? If a Kohen does not have Ruach HaKodesh, we do not give him the Urim and Tumim. We take it back, we came out, you're not Kohen anymore. Somebody wants to be a Kohen, they're going to Bet Mikdash, they give him Urim and Tumim, and they ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu questions, and Urim and Tumim show it on the Choshen, what's going on, what does Hashem think over here? But if he doesn't have Ruach HaKodesh, the Urim and Tumim don't work. So Gemara says, if he doesn't have Ruach HaKodesh, we kick him out. He's not a Kohen anymore. That's what it means to be a Kohen. Bet Aaron, who? What? You're a Mekubal of Mekubalim. But David HaMelech says, no. Even if you're Mekubal, even if you have Urim and Tumim, same thing. If confidence in the Kodesh Baruch Hu, you have bitachon, Hashem's going to help you. Hashem's going to help you. Rabbi says, but look at who's the highest level. Look at who's the highest level. It's obviously not the Amcha. It's not the regular people. And it's not even the Mekubalim. It's who? It's the people that have Yirat Shamayim. The people that have Yirat Shamayim. They're the highest. And even they as the highest. Has to have Bitachon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have to have Bitachon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How do we know they're the highest? The Gemara, Masechet Brachot, page 6b, says the following. אמר רבי חלבו, אמר רב הונא, כל אדם שיש בו יראת שמיים, דבריו נשמעים. שנאמר, סוף דבר הכל נשמע, את האלוהים ירא. Rav Chelbo said in the name of Rav Huna. Rav Huna was one of the biggest mezakei Rabbim, biggest queue of rabbis in history. When he died, they were burying him. Him and another tzaddik were being buried at the same time, and they were going on a river. They were going on top of a river, on a bridge, on a thin bridge. So the Arab that was on the camel carrying the tombs. There was two of them. One was carrying his tomb. One was carrying another tzaddik's tomb. And he says, let him go in front of me because he's bigger than Rav Huna. This other tzaddik is bigger than Rav Huna. He says, on the spot, all of his teeth fell out. Wow, he's speaking against Rav Huna, saying somebody's bigger than him, somebody's smaller than him. Oh, all of his teeth fell out. That's how much of a tzaddik Rav Huna was. So Rav Huna says, anyone who fears Hashem, fears heaven, his words are heard. As it says in Ecclesiastes 12:13, the sum of manner when all has been heard, fear God. Meaning that the only purpose, only that you have in the world is to fear Kadosh Baruch Hu. And Amar Rabbi Elazar says, in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amar, Kol HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Amar Rabbi Elazar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, אומר, כל העולם כולו לא נברא, אלא בשביל זה. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself says that the only reason I created the entire world is for this person alone. Who is this person? This person that fears me. This person that fears me, fears the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the whole world is for him. And that's what the Gemara here continues to elaborate. It says, Kol ha'olam kulo lo nivra ela letzaved et zeh. The entire world was there, created for this one person that fears the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's it. So from here we see the Gemara, the oral Torah, the written Torah, everywhere testifies that someone that has Yirat Shamayim is higher than even the Bet Levi, Bet Aaron, Bet Israel, so on and so forth. So, Rabbi Ephraim says, look at this. On one end, we see here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you want HaKadosh Baruch Hu's prayer to be answered. You have to have bitachon no matter who you are. You're regular, traditional, ignorant, but you're trying your best, or you're Aron, Mekubal, all that stuff, or you have Yirat Shamayim. All of you have to have bitachon. All of you have to have bitachon. But how come the Yirat Shamayim is considered the highest? How come? How come it's not the Mekubal or the regular Am Yisrael crying like a baby? Why? How come? He says because a lot of people can have bitachon, but false bitachon. Bitachon that's not going to stay forever. Why? He has bitachon under the circumstances. The line between bitachon and desperation is very thin. Sometimes the guy has bitachon because he has no hope. So what is he going to do? He says, Bezat Hashem, things are going to work out. So you owe the IRS $1.5 million. Yeah, Bezat Hashem, it's going to work out. Why is he saying Bezat Hashem will work out? Because he doesn't have the money. What else is he going to say? He says Bezat Hashem, it's going to work out as if he has bitachon. It's not real bitachon. It's not real bitachon. It's like it's desperation. The guy's sick. The guy is sick as a dog. No, what's going on? Doctors know what's going on. Bezat Hashem. You know Hashem runs the world. Bezat Hashem, things are going to work out. What Bezat Hashem? What Bezat Hashem? The doctors have no answers, so what am I going to say to you? What am I going to say? The doctors have no answers. I went to the doctors. Doctors have no answers. So I'm desperate. I only have a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's not real bitachon. That's desperation, really. But it's like a avak. It's like a dust of bitachon. Rabbi Ephraim says, the reason why the Yirat Shamayim is top place is because if you have Yirat Shamayim, your bitachon will be real under all conditions. Why? Because you're afraid of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you're afraid in order to serve Him under all conditions, whether those conditions are favorable to you, obviously, or unfavorable to you, whatever it is, you're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu because you fear Him, but now that fear is going to lead you to have confidence that He's going to pay you in the end. That everything is for a purpose. That punishment is really, him really holding you like a baby, helping you. That difficulty is really for your favor. That lacking, that missing, that whatever it is, it's all for you. So it starts from the fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it leads to bitachon. It leads to having the bitachon in Hashem, the trust in Hashem, that everything's going to be okay. So that type of bitachon lasts forever. No matter what the conditions are. Whether you have the money to pay the IRS or you don't have the money to pay the IRS. Either way, you have trust in Hashem that He knows what He's doing. He puts you in this blunder. He puts you in this little situation. Why? That's His business. I'm here to serve Hashem no matter what. I'm here to serve Hashem no matter what. This, Rabotai Karim, is the only type of bitachon that's going to help you in all messes that you get yourself into. Whether it's because your family that's upside down, or your boss is upside down, or the whole government is upside down, or your life is upside down, the only type of bitachon that's going to actually help you under all conditions is that type of bitachon. Bitachon that's coupled with Yirat Shamayim. But that type of Yirat Shamayim is not going to come from some trick, or some string, or some quick book, or some quick little reading you're going to do for 40 days straight. All of those things are cute, and they're all good, and some of them are actually even true. But they're all additives. They're all like sprinkles on a sundae. They're not the sundae. They're not the ice cream. They're not the food. They're not the main course. They're little sprinkles. That's all it is. The main thing is, to work on the basics, to work on Yirat Shamayim, to work on yourself and make sure to fix your midot. Fix how you are, but also fix how people view you. Don't give them a reason to suspect you of sins. Don't suspect other people for no reason either. That's also a heap of trouble for yourself. The point being is, don't just listen to the shiur. Learn the shiur. Don't just listen to Torah. Learn the Torah. But don't learn from just anybody. Learn from somebody that you want to be like them. Or at least what they're trying to be. Don't learn from somebody that, oh, he's funny. What, are you trying to be a funny guy? What, you think because funny people go to Gan Eden? Just because they're funny? No, they have to have other things too. You have to make sure that you take this stuff seriously because there's just really, mamash, not much time. There's just not that much time. Even if we have 10 years, it's still not considered much time. Because to do tshuva is day in, day out. It's toiling every day. It's accounting every day. It's fixing every day. And after you're finishing fixed one thing, you realize you even have more than what you had beginning. Why? Because the more you fix, the more you realize there's other things that have to be fixed. It's like fixing a house. You remodel a house. You start with the kitchen. By the time you finish 3/4 of the kitchen, you want to do the bathroom too, because it's connected. Then you do the bathroom. You say, I can't just do one bathroom, so you got to do the other bathroom also. Then you finish the bathroom with 2 bathrooms. You say, yeah, I'm going to have these 2 beautiful bathrooms, but the hallway is disgusting. So then you do the hallway. Then you do the hallway. It's like, yeah, I'm going to have a nice hallway. Do I sleep in the hallway? Who sleeps in the hallway? Why did I even do the hallway? So you want to do the bedroom now. Then you do the bedrooms. Like, I'm going to have bedrooms, hallway, bathrooms, and everything else, but the whole dining system is completely like homeless. How can I do it? So then you do the dining room. Then you do the dining room. It's like, I'm going to dining room with still an unfinished basement, unfinished garage, unfinished this. Next thing you know, you finish the whole house. That's tshuva. That's tshuva. Tshuva is the more you do, the more you realize you need to do more. But in this case, you have to do it. It's not like the house. You don't have to do anything. Tshuva you have to do. This, Rabotai, is something that's not easy, but it's not impossible either. Come into the shiurs, you learn them, you address them, you apply them, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless you for here and forevermore. Any questions? Ken?
I don't know if it's going to be a simple one, but
None of your questions are simple, but they're good.
I'm going to say this. So I was actually, I guess this wouldn't apply to someone who takes the role of a teacher, responsibility of being a teacher upon them. But I've heard that there's many that hold that today's generation, your favorite, that there's a thin line between a tikon shenishba, an am haaretz, and a Rasha. So you really can't call someone who didn't quite grow up with a full appreciation of true Torah Judaism a Rasha because they never really embodied the law or experienced it the way it should have been. So I know there's some scholars that hold that, for example, our friend Rav Dror, he's an am haaretz. He's not learned enough in the Gemara. Should he be teaching? No. But is he wicked? I have my own personal feelings, but I'm curious of yours on the general topic, not you specifically.
So in regards to the topic of Tinok Shenishba, I've answered this before, and it's important to know this is a very, very misunderstood term and misunderstood topic in general. But I'll do my best to explain it, Be'ezrat Hashem. The fact that the generation is weak in knowledge and strong in ignorance is not a secret. Everybody knows it. But Shlomo HaMelech says there's nothing new under the sun, meaning that every generation has its own tikkunim, every generation has its own sins. The modesty crimes that we have today also existed in the past in different forms, in similar forms. Wasting seed exists today, it existed back then. We see the prophet Jeremiah talk about it almost 3,000 years ago. We see Moshe Rabbeinu talking about it over 3,000 years ago. So the sins of today are not new. the way we're sinning, some of them are innovative or innovations of the past. Some of them are exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Ignorance that we have today is perhaps more common, and you can just put it inside this too. The ignorance that we have today is more common. Yes, that's definitely a fact, but that's ignorance of the law does not absolve you from the law. You cannot say, "Oh, I didn't know that the speed limit here is 40 miles an hour, so I decided to drive 300, and I want to be absolved from the law because I didn't know." It doesn't absolve anything. You're going to jail. Why? Because it's your responsibility to know the law. You have a brain that you have to use, just like you use that brain to make money, or you use that brain to do everything else in the world. You have a brain to learn what's the purpose of life. So, to simply say that just somebody that was born not religious, that absolves him from the law, and by calling him a tinok shenishba is a mistake. To think that the generation is weak and therefore, Hashem is just going to remove certain mitzvot from the Torah is actually heresy, because that is one of the violations of the 13 principles of faith that says that Torah will never change. Meaning, Torah will never change means that it's applicable to every generation as is. Does not change. To say that it changes based on a generation is actually kfirah. Anyone that says that, you cannot count him to minyan. He's not considered part of Am Yisrael. He's considered a kofel. It's no different than a Christian missionary. It's a kofel, especially if he's a teacher. So, what does it mean, tinok shenishba then? What does it mean, tinok shenishba? Okay, so if the guy was born religious or not religious, he still doesn't have a get out of jail free card. So, what's the point of tinok shenishba then? Tinok shenishba means a captured baby. That is not a get out of jail free card? No, it's not a get out of jail free card. It's an halachic term. They asked Rav Wasserman alav shalom, and they said, Kvod Rav, are you really saying that all of these secular people are all going to go to Gehenom? I said, of course. What do you mean? He yelled at them. He goes, of course they're going to go to Gehenom. Because, yeah, but they don't know. They're ignorant. They're this, they're that. He goes, ignorant, not ignorant. They're all going to Gehenom. They don't do tshuva. Why, Kvod Rav? He says, what is it like? It's like somebody was lost in a desert, but then they found a castle. And the castle's brand new, and they go inside the castle, and it's all clean, and there's perfectly fresh food, and it's full of diamonds, and full of jewels, and full of food, and everything is wonderful, and they start taking whatever they want, and put it in their pockets. And then the guard catches them and says, what are you doing here? And they arrest them, and take him to court. And the judge says, what do you have to say for yourself? And the guy that says, oh, I just thought that the castle came by itself. I didn't know it belonged to anybody. The judge is going to punish him even more. Why? One, for the crime. Two, for the stupidity of thinking that this castle with all the beautiful, perfectly fresh fruits came by itself and didn't belong to anybody. So he says a secular person thinking that they're going to leave the world secular and still go to heaven and everything's going to be okay, they'll get punished additionally for such stupidity. Thinking that they got all of this life, 70, 80, 90 years of benefits from HaKadosh Baruch Hu for free. That, they'll get punished extra for that. So what's the benefit of being a tinok shenishba? First and foremost, we need to know that there are only 3 major poskim that have mentioned that the generation has more tinokot shenishba than any other generation before. The Chazon Ish, the Rav Moshe Feinstein, and the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Even Rav Moshe Feinstein that mentioned it, he didn't mention it like people think. It's actually to a lesser term, but nonetheless, the whole tinok shenishba situation has been mistaught to believe that if he's a tinok shenishba, meaning he was born into some secular family, or perhaps even his family's full of kofrim, then he's absolved from mitzvot. This is 100% false. The Chazon Ish never meant this, the Lubavitcher Rebbe never said this, and definitely not Rav Moshe Feinstein or any chacham in the world. What does it really mean? First and foremost, tinok shenishba is mentioned in the Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah, which is originally speaking about captured babies, Jewish babies that were captured by the goyim and were led a life to believe that they're goyim, meaning they were captured by the Christians, which is what actually happened during the Holocaust. They were taken by the Christians as if they're going to protect them. But then when the Jews came back and said, I want my kid back, the Christian guy says, I don't know who your kid is. Everybody here is Christian. And some of these kids continue living lives like this, not knowing they're even Jewish. If somebody is like that, that follows that term 100%. He doesn't know he's Jewish, he's not going to be judged like a Jew. But that's rare. That's rare and few in between. The way that they're using it halachically is people that were born in simply into a non-religious family. It's not Christian. He knows he's Jewish. He just doesn't know the details of being a Jew. He doesn't know about driving or not driving on Shabbat and so on and so forth. So, Arav Ovadia Alav HaShalom says that no one in Eretz Yisrael is a Tinok Shenishba. Why? Anyone that knows that a synagogue exists or even attended synagogue cannot be considered Tinok Shenishba, because obviously he realizes there's a God in Shamayim that runs the world. There's a law, whether you follow it or not, that's your choice, but obviously you know that there is a law. You know that there's Shabbat exists. To say that you know there's a synagogue, and you know there's a rule, there's a Torah, and just feel like you're not following it, that's not a Tinok Shenishba. You know it exists. You know the law exists. You know that it's applicable to you because you're a Jew. You don't feel like following it. That doesn't make you a captured baby. That follows, that same argument also follows New York, Florida, California, different parts of Maryland, and so on and so forth, all these Jewish communities around the world. But even if you don't want to apply it that way, you don't want to apply it that way, like how Ovadia says, let's see, what does it actually mean, Tinok Shenishba? Tinok Shenishba is simply a term, an halachic term, that is used for somebody that had a certain type of upbringing, that doesn't know, is not aware of all of the details. So what does it mean? Does that mean they're absolved from mitzvot? No. It only means that you treat them differently than someone that's knowingly sinning. Meaning, if someone knowingly drives on Shabbat to Bet Knesset, if he goes to Bet Knesset, obviously it's knowingly, he knows about the religion. If he knowingly drives on Shabbat, he knows that there's holidays, he goes to the synagogue once or twice a year, he knows that there's a religion. If he drives, he violates Shabbat, that person you cannot count in minyan. That person is considered an idol worshiper, where if you invited him to your house for dinner, and he picked up the bottle of wine, or the cup of wine you have, and you have fancy schmancy wine that's not cooked, and he picked up the cup, just to pick it up, you can no longer drink that wine. You have to throw that wine in the garbage. In fact, you giving him that wine, if he asked you for a cup of wine, uncooked wine, you're not allowed to give him a cup. Why? Because that he would actually ruin the wine. And that's actually a violation of Shabbat. So the point is that this person is a problem because he knows. What if he doesn't know? If he doesn't know, meaning if he's classified as a Tinok Shenishba, then even if he touches the wine, it's still okay. It's still okay. Even if, let's say, he comes to your Bet Knesset and you want to give him an aliyah, even though he doesn't keep Shabbat, yeah, you can give him an aliyah. You give him, he's not a idolater. But that's just halachically treating him as such. Doesn't mean he goes to Gan Eden. It just means you don't treat him like the Rasha that's completely excluded from all Jewish ceremonies. You can't use him as a witness. You can't use him as, he touches your wine, he ruins it. You can't give him an aliyah. If he says Kaddish, you're not allowed to say amen. You just can't, you don't treat him like the Rasha. But it doesn't mean that you treat him like a tzaddik. Meaning, if he dies tomorrow, he doesn't go to heaven. He still goes to Gehenom. Nobody that's not keeping mitzvot goes to heaven. It's not a get out of jail free card for not keeping mitzvot. It just means you don't treat him as aggressively as the guy that's willingly doing it. He's doing it ignorantly. So now you tell him your responsibility is to save this captured baby. This Tinok Shenishba, you're not allowed to keep him nishba. If he's a captured baby and you have a way to get him out by telling him, by the way, you're a Jew, and Jews are not allowed to drive on Shabbat, which is a very, very simple way to save a baby, you're not allowed to not tell him. Meaning, you're not allowed to keep him a nishba. Not allowed to keep him a captured baby. And the minute you tell him, by the way, Jews are not allowed to drive on Shabbat. By the way, you are a Jew, you have to keep Shabbat. You go to Bet Knesset, and so on and so forth. That's moment he understands the responsibility, but he chooses otherwise. Guess what? He's not a Tinok Shenishba anymore. And even if he was, it still doesn't absolve him from the crime. Meaning, if he died, he doesn't go to heaven. He doesn't go to heaven. My cousin that died a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, he's not in heaven. Let's not fool ourselves. He's my cousin. He's my family, but he's not in heaven. Why? He didn't keep Shabbat. He didn't keep anything. It's sad, but there's millions more like him. If you have family members that died without keeping mitzvot, they're not in heaven. Don't fool yourself. I have plenty of them that died that they're not in heaven. Hopefully Hashem has mercy and makes them a gilgul, a reincarnation that can do tshuva, but you cannot go to heaven without keeping Torah and mitzvot. It's not possible. There's no get out of jail free card. There's no mechalel Shabbat that ever entered Gan Eden. There's no idolater that entered Gan Eden. There's no like an entry department. Oh, this is the heaven department for the Mechalel Shabbat. And this is the heaven department for the idolaters. These are the guys that eat pig and cheeseburgers over there in heaven, right next to the Etzadah. No, there's no heaven for those people. The Tinok Shenishba only means how you treat them while you are trying to get them to do tshuva. That's all it means. It's an halachic term of how you treat them, the level of aggression. The level of aggression. If he's not a tinok shenishba, meaning he's doing it willingly, you simply have to be as aggressive as possible. Meaning, he touches your wine, you have to throw it out. He says Kaddish, you can't say Amen. You have to say Amen to somebody else's Kaddish. Witness on a wedding, you can't use him, and so on and so forth. You have to treat him as if he's an idol worshiper until he does tshuva. His Judaism is on suspension. If he's a tinok shenishba, then you don't treat him with that level of aggression. You simply say, okay, Habibi, listen, I understand you were born into a secular house, just like Yaron Reuven. You drove on Shabbat, you went to the mall, you did this, you did that. I get it. Well, Torah says you're not allowed to. Okay, you're not allowed to. This is what Torah says. Here you go, as Torah and science proves God. Here's a Musar seers by Yaron Reuven. Proves pretty much that you have to become a decent human being, and so on and so forth. That's it. Here's the information. You have it. That's it. Finished. You're not a shenishba anymore. You're not captured anymore. Why? You're free. Free to go. Free to do whatever you want. Free to do whatever you want. That's it. There's no more nishba. But even until that point, that's it. It didn't get anybody to heaven. So that's the mistake of these fakers that come from places like this Chabad in Russia or in Palm Springs here in Florida or even next to my house in Hollywood. And all of these fakers all over the place that tell people, no, everybody's a tinok shenishba, and nobody knows anything, so they're all okay, Mashiach's going to save them. There's not a single pasuk in the entire Torah that says such stupidity. For anyone to think that they're going to enter Gan Eden, a Mechalel Shabbat, in the same place as Moshe Rabbeinu, they're dreaming. I mean, think about it. In Gan Eden, it's not like, oh yeah, Gan Eden is like a, there's a Reshaim section, Tzadikim section. Gan Eden is for Tzadikim only. It's not like a Rasha section. Yeah, these are the losers, but we still give them Gan Eden because we felt bad for them, because they were born into Zionistic families. To think such things is also making Hashem into stupid. As if, what, Hashem doesn't know his creation? He didn't give these people 1.5 million chances during their life to find the truth. He put somebody in this world just to make them fail. Why, he gets pleasure out of it? He puts a person in the world just to make sure that they live a secular life so they can guarantee go to Gehinnom? For what? If you want someone to put in Gehinnom, just put him in Gehinnom directly. Well, you need your permission. Everybody gets their chance. And another chance, and another chance, and another chance. I have people that mamash came from the Christian world, came from idolatry, came from voodoo, came from Islam, came from all types of filth and garbage, and today they're mamash tzadikim kedoshim. Mamash tzadikim. So if they live their whole lives, 20, 30, 40 years, in the tum'ah of the tum'ah, the filth of the world, they discovered the truth. You're telling me that Hashem didn't, he did good with them, but he's not going to do good with a natural-born Jew? He's going to let the natural-born Jew only have a chance to fail? What kind of God do you think runs this world? Everybody gets their chance. The halachic term of tinok shenishba is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's simply how you treat somebody who's ignorant. That's it. It's, in essence, describing the level of aggression. That's all. It's not a ticket to Gan Eden. Anyone that tells you that, number one, is either a liar or is a Rasha, or is ignorant completely, or a combination of all two. It's like an ice cream. It's like 3 flavors. Whatever you want. Either way, they're wrong. There's nobody in the world ever said that. Not the Lubavitcher Rebbe, not the Chazon Ish, not the Rav Moshe Feinstein. No one ever said that. No one ever said that ignorant people go to heaven. That doesn't exist. It's simply an halachic term. And for anyone that wants to believe that they're going to go to heaven, even though they're going to be an enemy of Hashem their whole life, I don't know. It's like stealing, money laundering your whole life, but you think that the government is going to give you a medal for honest ethics in business. It's like being a mass murderer, but you want to get a Nobel Prize, a peace prize, because you're a mass murderer, like Arafat. Stupidity. This is what you think. Hashem runs the world like the Nobel Prize campaigns over there. Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world with a chotemet, a signature. It's called emet. Emet, that's the signature of Hashem. Emet means truth. That's it. Once this truth is violated, there's no more Torah. So there's no such thing as a get out of jail free card. I have family members that keep Shabbat, and I have family members that don't keep Shabbat. I have family members that keep Torah, and I have family members that don't keep Torah. I'm just like you. The ones that keep Torah, Zod Hashem, they'll be rewarded for it for eternity. The ones that don't, if they don't do tshuva, they'll be punished forever. Doesn't matter if it's my family or your family. Doesn't make a difference. There's no, oh yeah, that's the rabbi's family, so it's okay, right? No. No okay, nothing. It could be Moshe Rabbeinu's brother. Don't make a difference. Esav, his father was Yitzchak Avinu. He's still in Genom. So it's a misunderstanding of, but I personally think it's my hunch. Maybe it's because I see a lot of evil in my life, but I personally think that the people that say that Tinok Shnishba argument constantly are doing it on purpose, knowing that it's not true. It's just not possible for so many people to be that ignorant. The general public being ignorant, that's a given. They're enabled. But the rabbis, it's not possible for them not to actually believe the nonsense that they're saying.
You don't think it's for the benefit of us to rather than be judgmental to everybody and not give them the benefit of the doubt? Because for example, it says, I think it's in Shavuos, I want to say 5 or 6, 5a, 6a. It says that the Jew has to be not aware, he has to know the law. So he has to know the law at 2 separate points in time. So to know, it's like the same way we don't believe in God, we know God. So he might be aware, there's Shabbat, these people do Shabbat, my family doesn't do it, I don't do it, these people do it. So he's aware of it, but he doesn't know the importance of it. And I stress the importance of this rather than me go home and say, this person's a Rasha, this person's wicked. To step beyond myself and to give that person the benefit of the doubt, understanding the context that we're in, to really, not to give them a get out of jail free card, give me one so that I'm not so judgmental and condemning.
But calling somebody a Rasha doesn't make you judgmental. It's simply stating what Torah term. A Torah term, what Rasha means, somebody that violates the Torah. That's all it means. Doesn't mean that the person is evil. That means Ra. Ra is evil. Rasha means somebody that violates the Torah. So we see it from Moshe Rabbeinu. Tells Datan v'Aviram, they were fighting. The 2 Jews were fighting after the Egyptian hit 1 Jew, and then Moshe Rabbeinu killed the Jew. The next day, 2 Jews were fighting. These 2 people were Datan v'Aviram. They were both Raim, actually. They were both evil. But one of them had his hand in the air and was about to hit the other. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, why are you being Rasha? You're about to hit your brother. Meaning he didn't hit him yet. But the fact that his hand was in the air already qualified him to be a sinner and therefore Rasha. Therefore Rasha. So Rasha means somebody that violates the Torah. It doesn't mean that they are a pedophile or a murderer or an evil person that kills people. It doesn't mean that. It just means that they're Rasha, that they violate the Torah. Now, to ignore the fact that sometimes we ourselves are Reshaim, to ignore the fact that we have family members and friends that are Reshaim, is simply ignoring the Torah. It's a reality. It doesn't make us judgmental. That's what the Torah is calling them. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling them. It doesn't mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates them. It just simply means that they're Reshaim. But if somebody does something and we know it's wrong, and we don't do anything about it, that's not us being nice. That's us being not nice. Why? If, let's say, for example, you saw that your friend was stealing money from a company you were both working for. Now, if you're also a thief, you're not going to say anything. You're going to join him and want a piece of the pie. But if you're not a thief, you're going to see the guy stealing. If you're a friend of his, you're going to tell him not to steal. If you hate him, you're going to tell him, just make sure you get away, nobody sees you. Why? Because in essence, if you hate him, you're going to tell him to just continue putting your life at risk. Continue, putting yourself in a situation where you can go to jail for 20, 30 years for just a few dollars. Continue doing it. Go ahead. But if you love him, you're going to tell him, don't do it. Why? It's not good for you. Why? Because you're going to get in trouble one day. You may not be caught today, but you'll get caught in the future. If you love the guy, you're going to keep him out of trouble. If you love a guy, you're going to tell him, get out of the train tracks. The train's eventually going to come. That's if you love somebody. If you hate them, or you're completely careless about them, all you're going to care about is how you feel. Oh no, if I tell him something, then he'll yell at me, then he'll won't like me, then this, then that. So, telling somebody that they're doing something wrong does not make us judgmental. It simply makes us a person that cares about another person. Just like if you saw somebody that was about to drink a cup full of poison, you're going to tell them, don't do it. Why? Because it's poison. That's it. Why, does that make you judgmental? No, it just makes you somebody that cares, and you're warning them only. They want to continue doing it, no problem. At least I warned you. You don't want to listen, that's sure. You want to go dance in the middle of traffic? Be my guest. You want to go drink poison for fun? Go ahead. Maybe they'll pay you at some circus if you survive. Whatever you want to do, but at least I warned you. I warned you because I care. You don't. What do you want to just watch you kill yourself? No. So it doesn't make us judgmental. The key, the distinguishing part is, are we calling them reshaim because they are doing the opposite of us, or we call them reshaim because they're violating the Torah? That's the difference. If we're calling them reshaim because they're violating the Torah, then all we're doing is we're stating a Torah term and we're applying it to a situation that the Torah says that's what it is. All we're doing, it's like reading a pasuk from the Torah. Saying Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz, that doesn't make me judgmental of God saying that He created the world in the beginning. It's just stating a fact. Saying someone's a Rasha because they violate the Torah is not judging them. It's simply stating a fact. But if I say, oh, he's a Rasha, why? He does something and that's the opposite of what I'm doing. Yeah, that makes me a Rasha. Why? Because in essence, it has nothing to do with Torah. That makes me judgmental. He's a Rasha because he's doing something the opposite of me. No, that makes me judgmental. So the point is to understand. A person needs to be cognitive of his own actions, even more so of it than other people. He has to do Cheshbon Nefesh. He has to self-accounting for everybody, for himself. And he has to be very, very strict on himself, but lenient on others. What does it mean, lenient on others? If you don't have a reason to call them a Rasha, and they do something that looks like something that a Rasha would do, then you find an excuse to find them innocent. Meaning, if you know this guy keeps Shabbat, but one day you see him driving on Shabbat, you have to find a creative reason of why he's driving. He's saving a life. He's doing something that's saving a life. That's why. Because you don't have a real reason to find him guilty. Because until now, you have all the reasons in the world to find him innocent. If you don't know him, it's the same thing. But if you know this guy drives on Shabbat, why? Because he drives to Beit Knesset every Shabbat and everybody knows. You're not allowed to not call him a Rasha. Because he is a Rasha. And he's a Rasha b'faresya, he's a Rasha in public. That's a person, there's no mercy on such a person. Why? Because he's doing his sins publicly with no care in the world. He's desecrating Hashem's name just simply with his existence. So that's not being judgmental. That's being agreeing with the Torah itself. Does that mean that you start throwing stones at him? No. Does that mean that if he says, I don't have a place to go to for Shabbat, can I stay by you? And you really have room, but not invite him? No, you can invite him. As long as he complies with the rules. Does that mean that if he says, how you doing, you don't answer him? No, you say, how you doing? Say, how you doing? But do I eat his food in his house? No. You're not allowed to eat the food of the house of somebody. It's a Mechala Shabbat. Somebody asked me that question today. The holidays are coming up. Everybody has family members that don't keep Torah. Everybody has it. It says, En Bait She'en Bo Mit. Every house has a dead body in it. Meaning somebody is violating Torah. So what do you do with those people? This is not only regarding the holidays. This is regarding the entire year. You're not allowed to eat food that was cooked by people that violate Shabbat. You're not allowed, unless it's your mom and you saw her cook and you saw where she bought all the food. There's a leniency for that. But if it's your brother, your sister, your cousin, your neighbor's sons, daughters, cats, uncle, all of these other people, your best friend from high school that you know for 30 years, and for all 30 years is a violator of Shabbat, you're not allowed to eat at their house anytime during the year. Needless to say, during the holidays. Why? If they violate Shabbat, even if you see that they went to the supermarket and they buy this food from the same supermarket you do, and they buy kosher food and you buy kosher food, you're still not allowed to eat their food. Why? If they don't keep Shabbat, that means they don't care about their own neshama. If they don't care about their own neshama, they definitely don't care about yours. Which means that when it comes to cooking, it's not just about the food being kosher, meaning that the chicken or the turkey or the beef being kosher. It's also how is it prepared. Are they going to put a little bit of cheese flavoring because it's really, really tastes good and no one is looking? Are they going to use certain utensils you're not allowed to use? Certain flavorings you're not allowed to use? I have certain people that I know. They make sandwiches for the, say, hey, for the Rav, here you go. Say, we just prepared your sandwich, nice bologna sandwich. The rabbi didn't eat. The rabbi didn't eat. So I asked, well, how come you didn't eat? It's kosher food, no? He goes, yeah, the meat's kosher. I said, what's the problem? He goes, yeah, but the bread is full of bacon. He goes, how do you know? He goes, because I saw the bag of the bread, and it's not kosher bread. And if it's not kosher bread and it came from that factory, I already know that bread, they make certain flavoring from pig fat inside that bread. Why do you think it's not kosher bread? Why do you think it's just dough? It's not kosher for a reason, the bread. Because it has different flavoring that comes from all types of animals. So the bread's not kosher, so you eat the kosher salami with bacon on it. Good luck to you. The guy doesn't keep Shabbat is not going to think, oh, I have to also buy kosher bread. I have to clean my vegetables with soap and salt water 6 times. You'll find me a secular person that does that. You're not going to find it. That's why in Eretz Israel, even though it's much easier than any other country in the world to find kosher food and kosher slaughtering, kosher everything, if the owner of the restaurant does not keep Shabbat, the Rabbanut does not give them a kosher stamp. Even if they know they buy the meat from a kosher place, it's still not kosher. Still considered not kosher. Why? Because we cannot trust the rest of the process. The meat's good. The rest of it, we don't know. We don't know. Why? He doesn't care about his neshama. We cannot rely on him. So, that means that anyone that has relatives that do not keep Shabbat or are generally heretics, you should not eat their food. Not on the holidays, not on Shabbat, not on any day. Not on any day. The only leniency that I've ever heard of is, I believe it's from the Rav Ovadia, is if it's your mom. If it's your mom and you went shopping with her for the food and you saw that what she's cooking and how she's cooking. Why? Because your mom, she may not care about her neshama, but she cares about yours. She cares about yours. So she'll do, if she knows you're religious, she'll do whatever you want her to do. Your neighbor, your best friend, your whatever, your colleague, your boss, everybody else, they don't care about your neshama. Your mom cares. Your mom you can trust. Everybody else you can't trust. Yes?
So, this past Shabbat, for Sudashi Rishid, I was sitting with these 2 other guys, and we got into this conversation about Shmuley Boteach, and I said that he's an absolute Rasha, and somebody said to me, that's absolutely not a nice thing to say. Was he right? I kind of explained why, but he the guy that told me it's not a nice thing to say was telling somebody else that he can't believe what I'm saying until he actually sees it. Like I was explaining that Shmuley has made comments in the past saying he supports homosexuality and all this other stuff, but this guy was saying that until we see until we see the video, you can't really believe what I'm saying.
Okay, so what's the question?
So my question is he right in saying that what I'm saying is not nice, or did I have a right to say that? Or?
What you're saying is absolutely not nice, and it's not supposed to be nice. It's supposed to simply state a fact. He's actually a Rasha would be a compliment for him. He's a kofel. He's a min. He's an apikos. He's someone that we pray for him to die every single day. Even if you don't know it's him. We pray for people like him to die every single day, believe it or not. In fact, you've already prayed for him to die at least twice today. More actually, because in Mincha, you actually even have even more. You prayed for him to die even for, hey, look at this. In Mincha, you prayed for him to die during Amidah. Ala minim, ala malshinim, lo tikva means they die. And so on. But then, in Mincha, before Amidah, you said something very wonderful about Shmuli Boteach and anybody like him. He says, רצון יראה ויעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם, שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד. You see? See, you say, what did you say? You said it, not me. I said it also, though. Secret. You said, Hashem protects all who love him, and all of the reshaim he will destroy. Meaning, you wish for Shmuli Boteach to die. So is that nice? It's not nice at all, but that's the truth. It's not about being nice. Who says? It says there's a rule in the Torah. Do not kill. Do not this. Be nice. There's a rule in the Torah to be nice? No. It's emet. Emet is the rule. It's not about being nice. Being nice is only for people that you are supposed to be nice to them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu writes to the prophet, En shalom Hashem amar lereshaim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Reshaim, I don't want peace with them. I don't want peace with them. That's what he says, that's what Pasuk says. Meaning, it's not about being nice. In fact, it's not allowed to be nice to people like this. Somebody that's a kufir, somebody that's a heretic, somebody that manipulates the Torah and distorts it and makes constant chilul Hashem, either by writing a book called Kosher Jesus, or writing a book with a porno star, or having all types of comments to desecrate the Torah, like for example the ones you mentioned, promoting or supporting homosexuality and making it as if it's not a big deal. There's at least 2 or 3 videos that I've seen of his where he says that homosexuality is just one mitzvah. What's the big deal if you don't keep it? There's other mitzvot. Mamash completely destroying the Torah. Person like that, it's a mitzvah to hate them. It's a mitzvah to go against them publicly. It's a mitzvah to destroy their name. Just like it says in the Torah in last week's parasha, one of the mitzvot in the Torah is to destroy the Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah is those people also. So, it's not about being nice. In a war, there's no nice guy. If you're nice in a war, guess what happens? You die. So in a war, there's no room for being nice. People that are against Hashem, people that are enemies of Hashem, you're not allowed to be nice to them. Why? Because you're in a war with them. But if you want to be nice to them, that means that you see yourself in them and you're just like them. You're just like them. That's your responsibility. Your responsibility is to tell the truth when the opportunity presents itself. As far as whether he believes you or not, that's a different scenario. He can say, I don't believe what you're saying until I see it, and then he checks it out. He checks it out and he sees it's true, and then he has to do the same thing as you. He's not obligated to believe you in any way, shape, or form, especially if he only knows the good things about Boteach or anybody else that's a Rasha. He only knows the good things about them. No problem, he's not obligated to believe you. But that doesn't make you wrong. Doesn't make you wrong at all. Reality is, everybody knows that he's a kufir. It's just that some people identify with his kfirah. They like it. Why? Because it justifies their own behavior. Because they want to do it also. They have a son that's homosexual, so they don't want to completely abandon them. So they say, Rabbi Boteach says that it's okay for you to be a homosexual, son. Come. Bring your boyfriend too. Why? Because Rabbi Boteach said it. And his son just opened a sex store. Maybe me and you are going to be partners in a sex store. Why? Because Rabbi Boteach. That's what he did. No? His daughter has a store in Tel Aviv. She had a TV interview. She's happy about it. They asked her, what about the rabbis? Aren't the rabbis going against you? She goes, no. I already got rabbi approval. He said, what rabbi? He goes, my father. Tameh. Someone that's impure, only impure comes out of him. So somebody like that violates and desecrates the Torah. It's a mitzvah to destroy them in any way, shape, or form. And that applies to anybody like him. Anybody like him. There are unfortunately many, many people just like him. But he's one of the more popular ones, unfortunately. But listen, anyone that's looking for the truth can see that he's a filthy liar within 2 seconds. Anyone that's looking for an excuse to justify their behavior and things like that is going to listen to him and read all of his books, all 20 of them. And pay money for it too. Pay money to go to Gan Eden. Imagine, you're paying money to go to Gan Eden. It's crazy. But that's what people do. That's what people do. So, I think that's you guys had some good questions. Do you blame? Unless you have something that's relevant to it or pressing, let's continue next week. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll be back here on Sunday. Sunday, we're going to finish B'ezrat Hashem our series of the Bitachon. We're going to try B'ezrat Hashem to finish the series on Bitachon, then decide what we're going to do after, whether we're going to continue something else. Well, we'll see B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see. But we're going to try to. I like the smaller series because we cover a little bit more information, but because a few people made suggestions of some other things, but they're big. They're big. I think before we do another big thing, we have to do a few small ones. B'ezrat Hashem. Beseder Rabotai, thank you very much for learning with me. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.